What's going on, people? Welcome to Throwdown Your Questions, episode 274. I'm your host, Tony Polanco, and I'm joined by Emilio Lopez.
Sup, people? I am back. Throwing down your questions.
Chris Seeley.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
Carlos Romero.
Yo.
And Adam Vale.
Hey, what's up?
All right, so Brett will join us in about an hour or so, and Brian, he always gets fucked up for daylight savings time, so don't expect him tonight. Or if he's here, he's going to be like an hour late, almost exactly an hour late. It happens all the time. But it's funny because he's always late for the other version of this. You figured he'd be here an hour early, for that one. But it is what it is, man. Whatever happened to Manjoma, he's coming, man. Maybe. Again, he's British. Daylight savings times fucks him up every single time. And it's been fucking him up for like pretty much since Throwdown started. You know what I'm saying?
Every single time the daylight savings time happens, he's like fucking farmers.
Yeah, fucking farmers. By the way, for you guys watching us here on Twitch, I don't know how Discord does shit the way I don't know if there's any rhyme or reason because for example, Chris is the biggest thing here for whatever reason is it's weird.
I think it
Chris,
does
you are the captain now.
I think it does it. I think it does it based on who comes in last. Maybe.
You think so?
Because granted, I don't know.
Maybe I could come last next time.
Brett, because usually he's last.
Yeah, no, sometimes shout out to Manny's cat. That's the pod cat tonight.
That's the podcast. He's being lonely. Hey, you.
All right, so this is you guys' show, so we don't want to fluff up too much, but I do want to give a quick shout out to Aaron from Cheddar Esports for inviting me to an event they had in the city last night. It was actually pretty fun. For me, I was a little bit out of my element because it was, an event mostly for streamers and influencers. I'm just a game journalist, you know what I'm saying? So it was a little weird, but I managed to find some other writers and we kind of found some common ground. And I also talked to some of the streamers, just got their takes. Those guys, I'm just being real right now, unlike some, gaming journalists, they're real gamers. So I understand the passion, you know what I'm saying?
Well, I think the thing about there is definitely common ground. Granted, these guys are not doing it for because they're getting paid by a company. A lot of these guys are getting paid by the actual people that are watching.
Yeah,
I mean there is common ground. You both play games as much as and and you're easy to talk to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like you said, the gift of gab. So that was
the gift of the gab.
Yeah. I was also drinking some fucking Bronx beer. It's from a local Bronx brewery. It's I don't really like ale too much. It's Sam Adams type of shit, but I drank it. It was 10% alcohol, so it was good. I had 2 beers and I was good. And something I can't talk about now, but something good for your boy may have happened just because of the gift of the gab, as Manny said. So we'll see what happens with that. Anyway, man, let's get into these questions, and we're gonna start off with the reaction gift king. So his first question is, independent of the novel coronavirus, what practical negative effects can come of Sony being almost radio silent on PS5 in relation to publishers, developers, and game announcements? I mean, we've kind of covered this already. It's just from the beginning, it's already bad look. You have a new system dropping at the end of the year, probably, who knows with the coronavirus now, and you haven't said shit. Meanwhile, Microsoft, as soon as December came around with the Game Awards, they said something. And on top of that, they have an announcement almost every week. Something that's always coming out of the Xbox camp every week. Meanwhile, with Sony, you hear the crickets, the Throwdown crickets. I don't know. I know they're not around tonight, but it's yo, Sony, you got to say something, man. And I'm not saying this, to be conspiratorial, but I'm going to throw it out there. It kind of seems in some ways like maybe, Sony and some other companies may be using this Corona stuff to hang back a little bit, on some announcements. But yeah, so it's definitely a bad look, just optically, that the shit's going on. Because again, by this time, the last generation, we already had the big reveal of the PlayStation. Obviously, we didn't see what the console looked like. We didn't get the price, but we saw the games. We heard about the specs and all that. To be fair, though, we do know PS5's general specs. They're similar to the Xbox. But again, that was a year ago. People forgot that shit. We need to keep this stuff always in people's faces, and Sony hasn't said anything. So it's definitely a bad look, Go ahead, Carlos.
Especially now that with the whole coronavirus scare thing, they have, the power to let their customers know that, hey, don't worry, we're going to release a console this year. None of our plans have changed. But so far everything they've done is counter of that. They haven't said anything. They've released the logo. They canceled their E3 showing, and like Tony mentioned, this
well,
time
they didn't cancel it. It just didn't exist. They never
Yeah.
went.
it just never ceased to exist at all. So like, and Tony mentioned it's like like this time last gen, we already knew about the PlayStation 4. It was already unveiled. So it's like, what are they? We haven't even gotten an announcement of an announcement. You know, it's
right.
it's about to be like what, March? It's already March, and June's just around the corner, which is like the E3 time when everyone shows all the games for the games that are going to be showed up for the system, and it's like we haven't even gotten the system yet. So I know it might seem like we're being impatient, but this doesn't really help Sony. Like this,
It doesn't.
being quiet all the time. Now, on the contrary, we have freaking Phil Spencer parading around, going to podcasts, doing all these shows, and pimping out the Xbox Series X, and it's like they're getting the whole time just for their publicity, showing up their
I
console.
think it's a weird time for PlayStation, because think about it, they're in the lead, they're making all this money, they really don't need another console, but they're sort of pushed in that direction because of what Microsoft is doing. So I feel like behind the scenes, they're like, shit, what's the rush? Why should we even do this and follow Microsoft now? We're doing great now. We're still selling. People are still buying these games and consoles. But on the other hand, they sort of have to. So,
Well, I mean, between the PlayStation 3 and the PlayStation 4 was for 7 years. It was 2006, and then another one released 2013. So what was that, 7 years? And then now 2013 to 2020 is another 7 years.
yeah, but we had the Plus, the Pro versions. And these Pro
but
versions do a little beef, and in a way, that's, to them, the way they see it is keeping it fresh.
But it's not even that fresh. It's just like the CPU was the same. You know, like the only thing that changed was pretty much the graphics.
Hey, they bumped up the price for it, so
Did they? Yeah.
yeah, it was expensive. It wasn't cheap. It wasn't like, oh yeah, if just for $200 you get this, go ahead. No, it's just like the X. The X was $500.
It's just,
They didn't lower the price for it.
the Pro is just a stopgap to make more money, pretty much. It didn't really add anything to the console generation. Just, you know, you can now maybe play games at 60 frames per second, you know, or get to choose a little bit bump on the resolution. That's pretty much it. It didn't really change anything in the game. So, yeah, I don't know. I made a prediction that I was terribly wrong. I said they're going to announce something by March 4th, because March 4th is last March 4th was the 20th anniversary of the PlayStation 2. So I said, I busted out an ad. I was like, they got to have something. And we didn't get anything. So it's back to the waiting game, I guess.
Yeah, it's annoying, man. Go ahead, May.
I mean, for me, I just feel like everybody's getting all like I know everybody's anticipating it, but at the same time, it's just like, just wait for it to come. Don't, everybody's all thinking about who's gonna happen? It's gonna come. It's gonna come. As long as right now, just play whatever you got in there, finish off your backlog, chill.
Oh yeah, we do have a question related to that too, man. It's crazy.
I mean,
Go ahead.
what they could have at least.
What, Carlos? Why are you worrying about other consoles right now? You got like 10,000 games from the last generation from all your traveling you need to finish off. So go finish those off, and then
Damn,
come
Carlos, you gonna just take it like that, bro? I'm
Yo,
not
man.
instigating shit right now.
Yo, man, as a tech head, I want to know what's up. And they don't have to show me anything. They could just tell us, hey, don't worry, guys. We're gonna announce the console in January 6th. Hey, guys, we're gonna announce the console in July 25th. Hey, guys, we're gonna announce the console in September 25th. That's all I think. That's all I need, at least, because they're just quiet for the sake of what? No one's like, they haven't said shit. And like I mentioned earlier, it's like the whole coronavirus scare. Like, it's like people are asking the questions, and they're valid questions. It's like, is this gonna affect the production of the console? And if they don't know the answer to that, then they should at least say something, because people are speculating and coming up with rumors, and they're just letting all these rumors and fake news propagating the airwaves, and and coming out as truths and people getting millions of views off this shit.
Yeah. By the way,
you mean like us?
We are doing that. By the way, Goose
We're not
is
getting
in
millions of views.
yeah, Goose is in the chat right now. He says he wants to know how it's going to affect the industry. To be fair, Goose, he said his question was about the industry. Did I see that in there? I think I just read the short version of it. By the way, your short version was actually pretty long. I truncated it. How's it going to affect the industry? I mean, it affects it in the sense that like Sony is the biggest player out there, so it kind of holds everything back in a sense. Let's just be real here. Even if Microsoft puts their system out first, I'm just going to say I'm going to be called a pony even with the fucking hat. The next generation doesn't start until Sony says so. Let's just be real. So that they're the industry leader. That's just how it is. But so it's definitely going to hold things back. I mean, think about it. It's already negatively affecting E3, right? People are like, what the fuck's the point of E3 if Sony's not there? So that's already, that's a bad look already, but at the same time, the whole industry is already kind of suffering, take that word how you will over this coronavirus. Everything's getting affected. That's the word I should say. It's not just Sony anymore, So yeah, what do you guys think about that? The impact it's having on the industry as a whole, Adam?
What the fact
Gonna hurt sales.
Yeah,
the fact that Sony's not saying anything, or the Corona stuff?
No, the Sony not saying anything. How is that affecting the industry?
Is it affecting anything?
So you don't think it is?
Yeah, manufacturing. They said last week.
The thing is, Adam, it can't affect sales because the console's not out yet.
We're not talking.
No, but even before that, it's gonna hurt because you still have to think of long term the investments. These are investors that are putting money into these companies.
Yeah.
And if they're like, hey, looking long term, are you gonna hit this deadline, this date that you said that? Because they probably know the dates. We don't, but they do. And it was like, we don't know yet. We don't know if we're going to manufacture. So then I'm pulling my money out now because I'm predicting a loss.
Well, I mean,
and that's what we're seeing.
If there's any sort of instead of any sort of investors thing, the already investors know when and how.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. But if you're seeing all these delays behind the scenes, then it's showing, hey, you're not going to hit your numbers. You're not going to manufacture the quantities.
Yeah. By the way, Goose, I got to apologize to you because I didn't read the full question. Okay, here's where he's coming from. He goes, I know some publishers time their game announcements, new IP, especially to coincide with next-gen consoles when new consoles do launch. Maximum exposure. Could publishers, developers be impacted negatively due to Sony's radio silence? Yes, because obviously the PlayStation 5, is the biggest thing. But let's just be honest here. Any game that's coming out this year by these third-party developers specifically, they're already going to be on PS4. So, again, I'm thinking about the question right now. I actually don't think it's going to hurt them that much unless it's a launch game that's specifically exclusive to PS5. Yeah. No, it's not going to hurt these companies at all. Chris, what's your take on that?
I'll tell you what really hurt. You skipped over everything.
Since you're talking, go ahead.
No, because you asked me and then you walked away. You moved on.
Yeah. No, this is a different type of question though. But go ahead.
If it's the same thing though, it's all in the same venue. Because if besides this, what also could hurt is if we go into a recession. Yeah, if this actually does happen, then people will be like, all right, well, I'll just stick what I have and buy the games that I have. I'm not going to go and buy new consoles.
That's what happened. We saw that last time too. Yeah.
Yeah, we saw that last time. That's why they held back on releasing the consoles. That's why that console generation was so long. And so but they did the studies. People stayed home and played video games. It was just cheaper to do that. That was their entertainment.
Yeah. Chris, what's your take, man? As far as like the game launches and all that stuff.
Well, in the inverse, I don't think the radio silence will hurt the publishers. I think it hurts Sony.
Yeah.
Because if I was putting my game out to promote the next gen items and Sony's not coming through with any info, any marketing, they're not addressing any rumors, they're not giving people any info, and there's no hype train for it, well then what's to stop me from going to Microsoft, who is starting their hype train and is putting out marketing and is putting out information? There's nothing to stop guys to go, hey, I'm going to say this is I'm going to promote it against Xbox Series X instead. Sony's stupid for not starting to say anything, because it could drive people to Microsoft or whatever because they want to write off that promotion.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. It's not really hurting third-party developers or publishers. It's hurting Sony. And again, the more I think about it, it's like, think about it. And this is true for the first 3 years of the console cycle, to be honest. The games are going to be available on older systems anyway, right? And Sony is not going to just abandon. Oh shit! I just spilled a bunch of water.
Excuse me.
All right. Yeah. Go ahead, Carlos. I'm like, oh fuck.
I agree with Chris. Like, it's like all of this can be used as sort of the counterbalance to what Microsoft is doing, and I don't think it's smart, PR wise, to not be pimping out the console right now, because there's just a lot of time where they can be saying, hey, PlayStation 5, it's better than the Xbox Series X. And that's just like, does it affect me like in a general sense? It's like is it gonna make me change my mind about getting the console? Probably not. But is it nice to have, to put some clarity to your stakeholders, like all of us? Yeah, it would be pretty nice. As far as affecting the industry as a whole, I don't think so. Like Chris mentioned, it's like third parties are going to release their games on the PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox One X, the Series X, and shit, fucking Wii U and shit, all that, everything else. So they don't have to worry about anything, because their games are always going to come out for the systems, like all of them. So yeah.
So I'm gonna throw in my I don't think it's going to affect Sony at all at this point in time. I think the moment it'll start affecting Sony is when they actually announce it. It'll affect their previous generation console. I feel like if they do announce it currently, right? Mm-hmm. I think people will start saying, "Oh well, I don't need to buy this for the current thing. I'm just going to wait until the next thing comes out." And I think that's what's happening here. We already have all these things that are coming, these new games like Ghost of Tsushima, and we have Last of Us coming in like this in this year. And I think the moment that they say, "Hey, we got a new console coming along," is the moment that people will stop paying attention to those things that are coming up.
Yeah,
so I think it's been proven in the past that the moment that they start announcing these things, the sales for consoles start to go for the previous generation starts going down. People start saving for the new one.
Yeah, but they're going to have to announce it.
I think the only reason why it was good for Microsoft to do it, because they don't have anything to lose at this point in time, because they're already the third man out. So anything to get any a little bit of punch on them would help. They're kind of, the Xbox is probably what is it, the third console right now?
This will be the fourth.
They're the third man out, out of the big three, right? So that means that like anything, they need anything to give themselves a shot in the arm. So them announcing early is perfect for them, because it gives them extra momentum coming into the next generation. Whereas Sony still has a bunch of stuff already waiting in the wings for this one. So yeah, I think. Go ahead.
But they have let's say last month they announced it and pre-orders became available. That's an extra month of time when people can put the pre-orders in for the console. And if they only give their consumers, let's say 2 months to pre-order the console, who knows how many sales they lost on. And right now, PlayStation 4, yeah, like once the new system comes out, or even when it's announced, the sales go down for the previous generation, but it doesn't significantly go down. Remember when the PS3 came out, PS2s were still selling out. The PS2 for years was still coming out at E3 showings after the PS3 came out.
That's because it was still doing better than the original, than the previous generation. I feel like I think when they're a little bit higher on the hog, that it tends to be that way. You know what I mean? Like, in other words, I feel like it'll negatively affect the sales for their current thing, and I think that's one of the reasons maybe why they're keeping it a little close.
Well, they have to.
This point.
What
if they? I mean, what is it? Ghost of Tsushima's June, and the next. Oh, no, excuse me. May and June, right? May is Last of Us 2, right?
Yeah.
And June is Ghost of Tsushima. What if they announce the next gen console after that?
Yo, by the way, I'm back. That's the rumor going around right now that the reason, again, rumor. The reason that the PS5 has been delayed is because they wanted to coincide with The Last of Us 2, which has also been delayed. Remember, the game was supposed to come out this month.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's March. Last month. It was supposed to come out last March.
And they moved it all the way to May.
Yeah.
Right?
By the way, you guys brought up the point I was trying to make before. By the way, people, everything's all right. My cup spilled back and avoided all my electronics, but those 8-bit boxes are fucked. No.
Oh, no.
Anyway, so I was saying, it's like the PlayStation 4 at this point has sold over 106 million units, right? Bro, that's going to be the main bread seller for the first 3 years at least, right? So basically, the PlayStation 5 being delayed, that's not really going to affect third-party publishers. They got the PS4 already. And that's where they would have focused, even with the PS5 out, they would have focused most of their efforts on last gen anyway, or current gen. So it's not really going to affect the industry that much. Like Chris said, it's going to affect Sony. That's what's going to affect. But even Sony's going to be all right because they got PS4s.
I don't think. I think the biggest thing is I think everybody's getting all doom and gloom because they've already heard information about the Xbox. I think I don't think it's going to really affect any sort of numbers that they're just holding it back for a little while longer. Like I said before, I think at the moment that they announce it, that's when it starts to affect the previous generation. And I think they want. I feel like they want to let let whatever things are going to be out come out. They only have 2 more last exclusives to come out, and I think that's when then close to the end of that stuff. That's when they'll say, "Okay, we got it."
I'll bring up another point.
And then we'll move on to the next question.
And this goes back to Tony and Manny were talking about how $400 is a sweet spot for video game consoles at release at launch. This console is not going to be $400. It's going to be $500. So, or more. So the less time you give people the chance to save up money for this thing, the less consoles are going to sell. Yeah. So if you're going to release a $500 and $600 console with 2 months before, 2, 3, 4 months before it comes out, it might not give people enough time to save up.
I mean, why is everybody saying that all this stuff is going to come out this year?
Well, they did say it was this year. Sony said it, so did Microsoft.
Oh, okay.
They already said it,
All right.
Yeah, so it's not like that's a rumor. That's just been confirmed by both of them.
Yeah, we got that and the logo, so.
Yeah. No, they didn't say beginning of next year, man. They said this year. They said November. Anyway,
I said holiday. I think holiday.
Yeah, because it's always holiday. It's always holiday.
Yeah.
All right. The next question from Mr. Goose. It's you, Goose. We already know, man. Okay. What do each of you expect from next gen? It could be better graphics, higher FPS, but these answers are easy. New gameplay loops, more experimentation from AAA studios, or just new ways to interact with virtual worlds. Here's the thing. We've answered a version of this question before, but it's always been, what do you want from next gen? This isn't what we want. This is what we expect. So we need to be very precise with our answers here. So Chris, you go first. What do you expect from next gen?
Considering all the bragging done by Mark Cerny, I expect to see snappy load times. I mean, I expect to see shit stream perfectly. When I hit start on the game or load the game, I want that. I don't want the division circle. Being stuck at like 9% for like 15 minutes.
But that gives you time to go to the potty, Chris. That's what that is. It says go take a potty.
I ain't got time to bleed, man. I want to be playing that shit now.
I ain't got time to bleed.
Yeah. So I want to see that shit. And he promised, because of the faster load times, he said the limitations in like things like Spider-Man, why you can't traverse the city or you can't move fast in certain games like GTA 5 is because of the loading. Okay, if you solve that shit, then I want to zoom through everything at like 500 miles an hour. That's what I expect.
You're not going to get that.
Yeah,
no,
Chris.
Oh, well, it depends on your monitor, your
expect.
TV.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, I expect just to see like being able to have faster speeds as you go through games, like so you have better racing experience and just better motion. And I expect load times to shrink, and I want honestly, what I expect too is like battery life needs to improve in the controllers.
Yeah, but do you expect that though?
I expect the load stuff that I mentioned. I don't expect the battery life to get better. That's just that. Okay, I'll put that on the wish list. What I expect is, he was talking about the load times in their SSD technology. I expect that shit to load like butter, like just flows.
Yeah, we'll see.
Not happening. Just like they said, everything was going to be in 1080p. That never happened.
He shouldn't have talked about that.
That's what they do, man. They use car salesmen. That's what they got to do.
I'm with Chris. They pimp this thing out, saying that the load times are going to be super fast, and that's what I'm expecting.
It's going to be a bunch of little stipulations, though, for that shit to happen. Watch.
It'll be like it'll be to the game creators. Whether
Oh yeah, of course, of course.
Oh yeah, sure. Put on
And depending on how much space you have on the SSD, and if the weather's nice in your area, if you're cool, it's like, do you have a dog that likes to piss on shit? That's unacceptable.
You're crazy, man.
Yo, I'm telling you, watch. You think I'm joking? Everything has stipulation.
Everything. It's funny that you mentioned that conference. Officially, we have never seen anything like that with the Xbox as of yet.
Which one?
A demonstration of the technology that's inside of the new Xbox.
We're still waiting.
I have
for the
in my
official
dreams.
one. Yeah.
So I mean, if you want to get technical, all you got to see was a plastic case and some chips on the Xbox, and for the PlayStation, you actually got to know what tech is going to be inside of it.
No. Because they've already announced it and they've sent these out, and we have other publishers already talking about that they're using it and they're loving it. So it's out there. They're using it.
Yeah, I'll go next. I'm going to be a little bit more pessimistic. I'm just being real right now. To be honest, man, at least for the first 3 years, I think it's going to be business as usual. I don't think we're going to see anything different, especially
kind of like the previous generation.
Yeah,
where it's like, hey, look, it's the same old shit. Just
you're going to get the same games, the Call of Duties and all that stuff. You're going to get all that shit at the beginning.
Just shinier.
Because people are saying, hey, AI is going to get. No, it's not. The gameplay. No. I don't think gameplay is going to fundamentally change next generation. At least, again, I am specifically talking about the first 3 years. Who knows later? But I don't see. Think about it like this: this generation was not that drastic of a change from last generation. As a matter of fact, this generation was pretty much a repeat because a lot of the games were fucking remasters of last gen games. And yes, even Nintendo counts for that one. Let's just be real here. So I expect pretty much the same business as usual. They believe that they found a formula that works, so they're just gonna stick with it. If this was what I wish would happen, I could I could be a little bit more positive about shit. But if we're being realistic here, don't expect any change, man. At least not in the, in the first couple of years. So, I know it sounds gloomy, but I'm just being real. Go ahead, Adam.
I think the only company that I believe is actually going to keep progressing, and they've been doing it even this gen, is Ubisoft. They gave us a bunch of original IPs this gen, and they said they have a bunch set for this year. So I'm sure some of them will carry over exclusively to the next one.
Yeah, you think? What do you think Ubisoft's going to innovate?
I think they're just going to innovate in what they love doing, the open world, and just making that more snappy, more interactive. So if you see buildings, it's like, oh wow, can I go in that? Yeah, you can. That's one of the things that we experienced with the first Division. When you're running around New York, and like, oh wow, look at this alley. Is that an open window? Oh shit, sure enough, you can go in that window and go all the way up and find like 2 or 3 apartments and little logs and other things. I think they're just going to expand on that. So maybe you can do other things like go in a park, go into a store, interact with things. We see that in Yakuza games, remember, where you can go into a bowling alley. Yeah. Oh, there's some arcade machines. Can I play those, or is it just background art? Oh no, I can actually play those games. So we'll probably see a lot of that where the world feels more alive.
Yeah. Carlos.
I expect Sony to put a freaking a 4K Blu-ray player on this freaking machine.
Do you actually expect it to happen?
I do, because they fucked up this gen and didn't release it on not even the freaking Pro has it, man. The Xbox One S has a 4K Blu-ray player and a PlayStation 4 Pro doesn't. This is some ridiculous bullshit, man. So I expect that, like Chris mentioned, the whole loading times, because they were bragging about it the whole time. So a lot of it has to do with the SSD and how it's going to be kind of like an M2 SSD instead of like the SATA ones that are even way faster. What else? Yeah, other than that, I don't really expect much. I can't really say 4K 60 frames per second because that's not going to happen. I can't even say 4K 30 frames per second because like they've gotten us with that before with 1080p. We're still shit. Can we expect 1080p 60? I don't know. I don't even.
I mean, if anybody wants to predict anything, then just load up NVIDIA Experience and try to put things on Ultra if you have a PC, and there you go. And I was like, all right, well, this is what they're trying to get at into the console realm. They're trying to bring that type of experience.
Yeah.
So that way you don't have to hear it,
though.
And make sure to do that before they. Make sure you do that before they get rid of the library and shit.
Damn.
Oh, by the way, there's a funny comment.
Okay.
Can I read it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh no.
This is from Barry Burton. Best case scenario of Tony spilling water on his gear, he gains superpowers and gets a superhero origin story.
Right? Yeah. I'll be
the
real life.
And get sucked in.
Yeah, I'll be the real life Hydro Man. You know, one of Spider-Man's lamest villains. The guy was water. The only time Hydro Man was cool was when
you replace my Clippy in Office, Microsoft
the only
Office.
Time, the only time Hydro Man was cool was when he combined with Sandman. He became like Mudman or something. This big crazy
man.
Well, it's funny. Like even Sandman's kind of dumb too.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, but Sandman's kind of fun. He still wears that stupid shirt all these years. That striped green. And
I like that shirt.
Yeah.
Goose said, "I fully expect next gen to hit 60 frames per second. If you looked into the rumor specs for the next gen CPUs, then they should hit 60 frames per second easily.
Should.
Yeah. And also, you don't know what resolution either.
We've been burned twice. Remember when they said PS3? Every game
1080p 60. They just keep saying it.
By the way, that wasn't a slip of the tongue. I didn't say PS4. I said PS3. They said this shit, and then with PS4, Mark Cerny. Expect every game 1080p 60.
Well,
that didn't happen.
And Microsoft had required for Xbox 360 that it just be HD, so 720. They're like, just all our games are going to be HD, and that was a big thing. Remember, it had logos on the box, even for the arcade games. It was like HD, because it was like it didn't have to be 1080p, at least 720.
Yeah. All right, man. Let's move on. Black Metal Gamer, another next gen question. If next gen is delayed until next year, what is your plan with your backlog? What will you guys be playing?
I'm playing whatever I have left over. I mean, to be honest, last time for me on the PS3 to PS4, I was still playing PS3 games, but then again, that was the time when I didn't I still, I usually stick to I don't buy a console on the, when it first is when it at launch. I usually wait about a year or a few months or something like that to really get it, especially when the things that are going to come out. So if anything, if they're saying like they're going to say, or no, excuse me, if it's going to happen like Hip Hop Gamer confirms.
Yes, confirms. Yeah,
that he confirmed himself. That the next PlayStation 4 is fully backward compatible, then I'm getting a new PlayStation 5 and playing my old games because everybody knows them first games are gonna be some shit.
Listen,
they're not gonna be the shit.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say this now, right? This question supposes or assumes that we're gonna get a bunch of exclusives first, out of the gate next gen. No, we're not. Not. So you know what I'm gonna do if next gen is delayed, I'm gonna keep playing the new games that are gonna be dropping at the end of the year because they would have been on the PS5 anyway. Again, I'm telling you guys right now, every third party game, every big AAA third party game that's dropping this year is gonna be on both on last gen and this gen. There are gonna be very few exclusives, so you're not gonna miss it. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna tell you this right now. Let's just say everything goes off without a hitch, right? Next gen launches without a hitch in November, right? You know what? You could actually skip the next gen consoles and you'll still be okay. You'll still get to play the same exact games. So, that's why, because again, Black Metal Gamer, he's like us. He's old school. So he's thinking like, hey, new gen, new games. Like, what are you going to do if you don't get to play these new games? There are not going to be any new games. They're going to be the same old games that we've been playing, man.
It's going to be like PlayStation 3, Xbox 360 to the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One.
Yeah.
The first 2 years are going to be shit from the pre, a rollover games. They're going to be like, hey, look, it's the same Assassin's Creed game that's on the old one, that's on the new one.
Dude, even this generation, if you wanted to, you could have waited until 2016 to buy the system. And that's 3 years after launch. You could have waited 3 years and you wouldn't have missed anything. Let's just be real. You wouldn't have missed shit,
Yeah.
Let me take that back. 2015, because that's when 2015 no, you know why? Because that's when the year when you actually started having exclusives, next gen or current gen exclusives like Batman and The Witcher specifically, right? The Division was also on last gen consoles too, though, Adam.
Was it?
Correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't it?
No, you're wrong.
I'm thinking about
Watch Dogs.
No, I'm thinking about Watch
Dogs. Yeah, Watch Dogs.
I'm thinking about Destiny, the other looter shooter. That was on last gen as well. You know?
Yeah. But now
Yep,
definitely
that one
not
was.
Division or Wildlands. Wildlands and the Division. Those two are.
Oh no, Wildlands was
exclusive.
definitely current gen. But the point is, you could miss the first 2 years. Basically, you could not get the new systems for the first 2 years, and you'll still be okay. You'll still be current with everything coming out.
Yeah, Bloodborne was 2015 also.
Yeah, it's Bloodborne. Yeah, 2015. That's the year when shit started.
Yeah, that's like
Bloodborne,
what was that? The
Witcher.
Order 1886, Bloodborne.
I don't know. The only game, the only big AAA game that was a holdover from 2015 was Metal Gear 5. That's the only one I remember being the big AAA holdover that was still available on last gen. But again, the point is, you're not going to miss anything off the bat if these consoles are delayed. You're still going to play the same damn games. You don't have to worry about that.
Unless one company out there is essentially got like this really big shit that's going to drop the first, like a big AAA company, like, whatever internally at Xbox or at PlayStation got this big thing that's just going to drop the like day one.
Yeah, but
Like
again,
that
that
would
would only be one company though,
Mm-hmm.
That would only be one company. So even that wouldn't have that much of an impact.
Yeah.
Because
Xbox, the original Xbox, didn't that launch with Halo?
the original, yes, the very first one,
Yeah.
And this new one is going to launch with Halo Infinite.
Yep.
So,
But again, it just goes back to the old idea that's like, hey, new gen, we got new games. This gen proved that wrong, man.
Yo, man, imagine. I mean, this is not gonna happen, but just imagine if the PlayStation 5 launched with Horizon 2.
That would be crazy. That's like, yeah, definitely not going to happen, but that would be pretty nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Man.
if Horizon 2 was coming out, they would have said something, man. Even Sony's silent ass would have said something. Let's just be real here. All right, so anything else you guys want to say on this?
no, I mean that's about it.
All right, let's move on here. Next question from Mr. Black Metal Gamer. Damn it, I should have edited this better. Which of these does better remakes? Hollywood or video game industry? I think we know the answer to this one.
Video game industry.
Video game industry. Next.
Yeah.
I mean,
we don't even need to go further, bruh.
Look at like they remade Ratchet and Clank, the first game on the PlayStation, and that was better than even the movie that they made.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and even last year we got Resident Evil 2 remake, which was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna get Final Fantasy VII remake. I know you and Carlos didn't like it. I thought it was fucking awesome. And and Resident Evil 3 is coming out this year. That's gonna be insane.
Oh, safe houses are safe, baby.
Yeah, they're safe.
That's
Now.
nuts.
They're safe. They're safe.
Weren't they safe in the previous one?
No,
they're not safe.
What happened is somebody made the wrong report that safe rooms were not safe, and everybody, including me, freaked the fuck out.
Oh, okay.
But the mistake came because they found a typewriter kind of out in the open or whatever, and Nemesis showed up. They're like, "Oh shit, you're not safe." And then Capcom had to come out like, "No. If you go into if you go into a specific safe room, you're safe."
That's the same, but that's the way the original. Resident Evil 2 was. There's that typewriter that's sitting in the main hallway.
Yeah, you're not safe there.
And what's his face? Yeah, and what's his
Mr.
face?
X.
What's his Mr. X? Yeah, could walk down there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
So yeah, what
That
happened
one
is
isn't.
whoever the hell reported it, so they ran into that situation where there was just a typewriter kind of out in the open, and Nemesis showed up like, "Oh shit, there's no safe rooms." Everybody went crazy, but yeah, but if you go into a safe room, there's a very specific music that plays. That's how you know you're good. Yeah, that would have been brutal. Some people were kind of mad about that, like, "Oh, I wanted the game to be brutal." Maybe Capcom could, initiate that, right?
Not safe mode. Yeah, like if you in Resident Evil 2, they even proved it where it's like they ran into the safe room and literally Nemesis is like literally can't go through the door.
Yeah, I've experimented with that. It's kind of fun.
Nemesis, Mr. X.
Mr.
I wonder if they're gonna still do the footsteps, man. That shit scares the shit out of me.
Yo,
man.
this guy flies through the air, man. You seen that shit? Like, yo.
He runs at you, but that was the big thing about him. The big difference between him and Mr. X. Nemesis could run at you.
Yeah, but in this one, if you've seen the videos, like basically you could be running and he'll just fly over your shoulder and land in front of you. It's like, fuck,
Man.
And he even like digs his hands into the ground to stop himself from momentum and shit. I'm like, yo, this is serious right now, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with video games, but I think there's just not that many remakes of video games. And the reason why video game remakes are way better than movie remakes is because usually it's the same it's the same publisher or developer that remakes the games. Like Capcom is remaking their own game, and
It's not,
Square Enix is remaking their own
It
game.
It's
depends.
not
So, because we
something-
have Blue Points, sometimes they remake shit.
no, but the thing is that it's like they're willing to stay within the same parameters as the original game. Like, what you do in Resident Evil, granted there are a lot of different things, but the core parts of it are the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like they're giving the thing to another company and saying, "Hey, we're totally reinventing this thing for a new generation and a new fan base," like the way movies do.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
And then they completely kind of miss the point. Clickety clack, clickety clack, clickety clack. Adam over there playing some games, baby. All right. Yeah. I think we answered that one pretty thoroughly. So let's move on. Next question from Mr. Johnny W. Uppercut. This one's kind of related to the last one too. Could the success of video game remakes affect the creation of new AAA games in the long run?
Yes,
All right. Why do you believe that?
because it just means that they won't take any more chances. It's the same bullshit that happens with Hollywood, or it's like because established properties and stuff like that do so well, they're not willing to take any sort of chances, so they're just going to keep remaking the old games rather than making new ones. I mean,
Yeah.
It's great that they're doing new games, but if you look at everybody's saying, "Hey, Capcom's back," but Capcom is not really back. They're just rehashing the old games over again. A new Monster Hunter, a new Street Fighter, a new a remake of two remakes of old Resident Evil games. Where are those new games?
Yeah.
All the Capcom Street Fighter collections, beat 'em ups and stuff.
Yeah, beat 'em ups. They're not, and they've said this a long time ago that they were going to focus on older titles. So, let's see, what was the big thing that got everybody into the next generation that people have sort of forgotten now? Deep down, it was an actual new title that they were working on that just totally disappeared into the ether. And that's what makes me a little bit afraid about things, because since all these game companies see that they can essentially just remake old games or just make a 1,000 more sequels of the same things, where's the new stuff?
Yeah. I mean, just on Capcom, and I've said this before, I think it's a good thing that they were doing a bunch of remakes and all this other stuff, because it reestablished them as a company. Because remember, last gen, Capcom was pretty much lost, right? So I thought that was a very good thing. But I also said, like, you need to also start making new IPs. You know what I'm saying? Okay, you guys laid the groundwork, right? Reestablished Capcom as an entity again. And obviously, Capcom has made a shit ton of money this generation. So they definitely reestablished themselves. Now that you've laid the groundwork, gotta have some new shit. And I didn't expect them to have it this generation, obviously. I expect them to have it next generation. Hopefully that's the case, because now that you've laid the groundwork, gotta do it. But my answer to this is actually the opposite. I do not think remakes can hurt the making of AAA games, because usually, for the most part, remakes are handled by outside studios. I know Capcom, in their case, they're doing it internally. Square Enix is doing it internally, but most of the time, remakes are handled by outside publishers, kind of like Blue Point. So I don't think it'll affect it too much, but I do agree with you, Manny, that game companies can become too reliant on it. You know what I'm saying? Because the thing is, like, if you have a successful remake that makes you a ton of money, that should give you money to make another new game in Tesla. Like, if you want to play it safe, you can release your quote unquote safe games, which will then give you money to make the more, now I'm not gonna say experimental stuff, but new shit. So I'm kind of just saying this in theory. In theory, it should not affect it, and it still may be too early for us to see if it is negatively affecting them or not. But it's not negatively affecting them money wise, because they're making money off this shit. All these remakes and stuff. Look at the Switch. What is the Switch? It's a port machine it's basically the Wii U. A portable Wii U at this point. And that's working very well for Nintendo. But at the same time, Nintendo's still putting out new shit too. Maybe they're not flooding the shelves with new shit, but they're still coming out with new shit together. So I don't think it could affect it, but it's just how you manage it. You know what I'm saying? Chris, what's your take on this?
Come back to me.
All right, Adam.
Look,
You think remakes could hurt the production of new AAA games?
this is what funds those projects. You know, they have to do these remakes to make money. I think that's what's going on with EA when EA made that announcement that, hey, that's their new goal now, to remake a lot of old shit because they see it's working for Capcom. Now we just have to see what Capcom's working on regarding new, but we know they're making money from all this old stuff.
Yep.
No, I don't think they'll make anything. I agree with Manny. Now that I think about it, they're going to stay in their comfort zone because it's making them money. Like they do. So Capcom did Resident Evil 7, and that was a successful. Why was it successful? Really, because they saw PT. And they said, well, let's just take that and expand it. We'll just put it in But they didn't make a new game. They didn't say this is Horror Kitchen or whatever. They just said Resident Evil 7, boom, and they built a game around it. Did wildly well. Then they're like, hey, you know what? Fans have been screaming for like 20 years to remake Resident Evil 2. They put that out and they did it well. They used the engine to put everything together, and it came together really, really well. And then, so what's next? RE3 comes out next month, and you know, I'm hyped for it. I'm excited, and so is a ton of other people. And after that to do RE8, they'll stay in their comfort zone. EA, if they don't have to do anything new, they won't, right? I mean, they'll probably go back to Battlefield. They're just probably letting it cool off after Battlefield 5 failed. They'll probably go back to it. Activision never stopped making Call of Duty, you know. So anytime that they strike that fire, they'll keep rehashing it. They'll keep reinventing whatever, but keep it just the same because you know they know people still want their Applebee's. So you just don't change the recipe too much, you know.
Yeah. All right. Carlos is muted. I don't know if he's on call right now. Carlos, you there, brother?
Yeah. You know who else is on?
Oh, excuse me. I see Brian. An hour late, just like we said. An hour late. Daylight savings time strikes again.
God damn it!
Yo, what's going on, Brian?
bloody farmers, man. They're fucking up for everything. They're fucking up for everyone. Seriously.
Yeah.
You know what, Brian? Since you're here, man, do you think remakes hurt the production of new AAA games?
Depends how much to put into the remake. I mean, if they do like a remake like they did with Final Fantasy VII, then it can, because then it like can delay the time between. Because that's like a full-on like, okay, let's like start from scratch, ground up, let's keep going. Whereas if it's stuff where it's not like from the ground up and just like more in remaster of how things are, then I don't think it's all that bad.
Yeah. All right. So your answer is kind of the middle of what we've been saying so far. Carlos, what about you, man?
Yeah, I think so because it's just a lot of, even though they're quote unquote just remakes. Was it remakes or remasters?
Remakes.
Yeah. So if it's just a remake, I mean, especially with a remake, it does take a lot of resources to do. You know, it's getting an old IP and you know, re-releasing it. And you know, do we really need a Final Fantasy VII again?
According
Obviously,
to the Square Enix fans, they did. You know.
Oh yeah, I mean, a lot of people do think that, but would you have preferred Final Fantasy 16? I would have.
Oh yeah, for sure. By the way, I said this before about, you know, just for me, even though I am actually very much looking forward to Final Fantasy VII Remake, especially after having played it, I would have been perfectly fine with them just remastering the original. You know what I'm saying? I would have been perfectly fine with that. You know, some nicer graphics, but the same exact gameplay, same exact camera angles and stuff. I would have been okay with. Actually, I would have been okay just with the original. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm good.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it's still sore. Maybe just get the different cinematics or something. I don't know.
Yeah, you could make those. But yeah, in general, like, if you give me a choice, hey, would you rather have a Final Fantasy VII Remake or a Final Fantasy 16? 16 all fucking day. You know,
especially after 15. Excuse me.
Yes, 15 was dope. Some motherfuckers didn't like it. You know,
I want to see them fix it up.
Boy,
and
your
make
boy got that
pretty.
plat too. I got that plat too. What's up?
Oh, I'm like, I still need to get like 2 more trophies.
You need to get that. You need to beat that fucking turtle. That's what you need to do.
Yeah,
right?
I need to beat the turtle, and I need one of the last of the legendary swords. You know, like there's this one place with the puzzle rooms.
Mm-hmm. I know exactly what you're talking about. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
Man, I still need to do that. One day, man.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. All right. Anything else, Carlos, you want to say on this? I don't know if I cut you off. I just jumped in there.
Yeah, I just think that remakes, Final Fantasy, Square Enix can be working on something right now, but they're doing Final Fantasy VII, so that's not helping it, and that's a lot of. Same thing like Manny mentioned with Capcom. Even though I'm completely opposite to the hype for Final Fantasy VII, or like my lack of hype for Final Fantasy VII. Resident Evil 3, I'm fucking hyped.
Excuse me? I'm already there, man.
Yeah, Resident Evil.
That I'm hyped for. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm looking forward to playing Final Fantasy VII. I am hyped as shit for Resident Evil 3.
Why?
Because it's fucking Resident Evil 3. And did you play Resident Evil 2 Remake? That was fucking amazing.
Why? You just finished saying how with the Final Fantasy series, you prefer they would have just went forward as opposed to backward. And here it is, you're all hyped for something that's backward.
Yeah, but there's a difference because I like Resident Evil more than Final Fantasy. That's why. Understand?
How is that possible?
How do you mean, how's that possible? It's Resident Evil, man.
But it's kind of whack.
Yeah, that's just your opinion, man.
Resident Evil 2 was my game of the year.
That was my game of the year until fucking, was it Red Dead that came out last year?
No, Red Dead was 2 years ago.
It was Death Stranding that took my game of the year.
What? Excuse me?
Yeah. You guys already know that. Death Stranding for life, son. But yeah, that was Resident Evil 2 was my game of the year most of last year. Most of last year was Resident Evil 2. That's how fucking good that was. And that was a remake, So Resident Evil 3, give me that shit right now, man. Because I like Resident Evil 3 more than Resident Evil 2, the original one. So this one,
This is the better game.
Oh, man, I can't fucking wait,
I can.
Yeah, but Final Fantasy you want, though?
Final Fantasy VII, I want to see it, beautified.
You want to play those narrow corridors, man?
In fact, that's why I don't even play a demo. I don't want to play a demo. I want to be surprised.
Interesting.
You're not going to be surprised because you already know what's going to happen. Excuse me?
Not in this way, though. It looks like it's completely different. I know how it was before with the turn-based system, but this is completely different. Now, if I get frustrated, I can just circle around the motherfucker. Before, I couldn't do that. I'm just like, shit. Do I run? Do I fight? Do I run? Fucking run.
Yo, Manny, your mic's
you're cut off. Yeah.
I don't think you even finished Final Fantasy VII. As I remember.
No. I didn't finish it. I got to like this 2 or 3 or some shit, but I didn't finish it. I got to the Chocobo races.
I thought you said something else.
Goose is trying to
ostrich races.
Goose is trolling me right now, man.
Oh yeah, he
said Aerith, pronounce Aerith. He knows how I feel about that shit, man. He knows how I feel about that. Aerith, son, for life.
You're an Aerith person?
Yeah, man, I'm an Aerith person. I don't like that. It sounds dumb.
It sounds like somebody tried to make an Aerith name and faked it.
Yeah. By the way, I got to give some shout outs. Fox Pixar Media is now following us on Twitch. Thank you. And there was another one. There was another follower we had. I think you got lost in the shuffle, but thank you, sir, too. Or lady. We don't discriminate around here, man. Or you're hosting us too, Fox. Appreciate that, man.
Thanks, Fox.
Thanks, Fox.
Barrel roll.
Oh man, where the fuck are we right now? Okay, I keep forgetting about the Chirons, man. All right, here we go.
You made the Chiron crystals?
Chiron. All right, given Microsoft, this is an interesting one. Let me finish this question, then you guys could delve into it. Because I have a question about the question. Okay, given Microsoft's bad track record, why do people believe the company will take full advantage of the Xbox Series X's power? All right, what is this bad record he's talking about? Have they lied about the power of their systems before?
I don't know what he's saying.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what I don't know what. Yeah.
So I don't understand where my man's is coming from.
Oh.
I mean, what they're gonna take advantages as much as they're probably gonna take advantage of it. I don't know.
Is he implying they're not taking advantage of the capabilities of the current
stuff?
I
don't know what he's talking about.
Yo, man, they're not taking advantage of that fucking camera that they had us buy. Those sons of bitches.
Oh shit!
But the Kinect.
Yes.
Yo, by the way,
you bought a Kinect?
Yeah. By the way, Fox Pixar, we would answer your question, but the problem is that question is not a video game question. However, next week we will have the AMA special. So I'm going to take your question and ask it next week, man. All right? Letting you know. But for this show and most of the shows, video games only, man. All right, move. Let's keep going. What the fuck was? Oh, yeah. Again, I don't have a reason to believe Microsoft won't fully utilize the power of the X. I don't understand where he's coming from.
Yeah, I don't get it because I mean they pick what they want in there for a reason.
Yeah. By the way, Brett is here, right above me. What's going on, man?
Brett.
What's up, people?
How you doing?
What's up?
Not bad, not bad. How's everybody here?
Yeah, chilling.
Fucking hockey talk.
Villain, son.
Just trying to cut,
That's what's about. All right. I don't really know how to take this question because I don't understand what he's talking about with the track record.
If I'm right, I'm guessing it has something to do with the fact that Microsoft exclusives don't look as good as PlayStation exclusives. I think that's the route that is going down.
Oh, you think so?
Is that what's
Well,
happening?
I'm seeing a lot of people complaining that, oh, look how bad this Microsoft game looks. How can you justify spending and buying an Xbox One X when it has this many teraflops, whereas PS4 has this many teraflops and games look better. I think that's the route that I just kind of asked for.
Yeah. By the way, shout out Brian. You've seen this from Blackstar. He calls them claymation games.
Yeah, I'm just here when did you guys start caring how games look? Things just change all the time. It's like, oh, it's about horsepower. Oh, it's not about horsepower anymore. Oh, it's about horsepower again. It's like, is it or is it not about horsepower? I'm getting confused now.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't really know how to answer this question because it's a little weird for me.
I don't care if it has one flop. If I like the game, I like the game.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying,
I don't believe they're having any sort of issues with their games. I mean, I feel like all the Microsoft games look as they're going to look. I don't like. In other words, they don't none of the games look like they just all of a sudden are in the last generation. PlayStation. Last Xbox generation looking stuff.
Well, I think that's what the people are actually saying. As a matter of fact, this is the kind of just theory that some people have that basically the reason the games, the current crop of Microsoft exclusives look the way they look, kind of more stylized, cartoony, is because since they need to run on multiple systems, they need to be lowered graphically. That's just what people are saying. I'm not going to vouch for that, obviously. Because
did Gears of War look bad?
Gears of War looked great.
Really nice.
It didn't look bad.
So, by the way, I'm glad you bring up Gears of War and Forza because those games kind of destroy that narrative. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean those games looked good. I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of a fanboyish question. We love you, Johnny W. But that's the thing, a fanboy question. But that's all right. Okay, moving on here. G Megaforce 123. So this is an interesting one, Manny. I want you to feel this one first after I ask it. I think you know what it's about, though. All right. Will Death Stranding still be talked about in 3 to 5 years? In an interview for the PC release of Death Stranding in response to low review scores from American reviewers, Hideo Kojima said the MGS series also had initial doubters about its stealth gameplay from Americans who were used to more action, but that people eventually came around, and he is looking forward to what people will be saying about Death Stranding in 3 to 5 years. So yeah, do you think people will be still talking about this game?
I think people will continue to talk about it. I mean, he is correct that a lot of the previous Metal Gear games, with the exception of the first Metal Gear Solid game, it definitely did. I think that one got a little bit better ratings than maybe some of the later ones. I mean, MGS2 was notorious, and then 3, I feel like a lot of times never got its fair shake back when it originally came out, because a lot of people were sort of had the stink in their mouth from the last from Metal Gear Solid 2. But I think the one thing about a lot of his games is that as years goes on, there's always something to sort of kind of pull apart. And I think that's kind of cool a little bit about it. It's a little I always say that he's sort of forward thinking about these sorts of things and what things he's going to, how poignant he sort of is about certain things. But yeah, I mean, I feel like there is a lot of, in general, there's a lot to kind of talk about within Death Stranding itself, because it's a lot of his games, even Ryan Payton said this, is that a lot of his games tend to be personal. It's his own personal, almost semi screwy autobiographical as to what things are going on with his life at the time, as well as things that he's interested in. So, I definitely think people will continue to be talking about it. I don't know if it's going to get the same sort of I don't think it's going to get the same sort of like nostalgia as, let's say, a Metal Gear Solid game has. Where it seems to grow as the years go on, but I think people will still continue to talk about it and sort of trying to unwrap it.
Yeah, I think, people will still talk about it in the sense that people will keep talking about it, like GZR says. People are still talking about the Order 1886, but it's not going to be talked about like in the zeitgeist like it is now. It's just,
no, I don't think it's going to be as strong. I definitely don't think it'll be as strong as a Metal Gear game. Just because of what it is. I do think that it definitely gets the conversations of whatever's going on or whatever he's thinking about it, and they're going. But I don't think that it'll have that sort of the same sort of strong conversations as a Metal Gear Solid game would.
Yeah, I don't think there's much more to say about that. Like, it's going to die down for sure.
People
are going to talk about, because here's the thing: people are still going to talk about Kojima 3 to 5 years from now. So, and people will talk about Death Stranding, which would have been the last game he worked on, because I doubt whatever his new game he's working on is going to be out by in 3 or 5 years. But then Death Stranding came out pretty fast, so who knows? But
yeah, he did do it in 3 years, so
yeah, I guess we'll have to see. All right, anybody else want to jump in on that? All right, I think me and Manny are the only ones who care about Death Stranding at this point in this podcast.
No, I care about it.
What do you think, Chris?
I definitely think people will remember it because people remember unique experiences, and that's one of the most unique games I've played in a long time. The themes in it, the way you interact with the world, the story, how confused I was through most of it. That you don't forget that, like things like that, if you look at it as art, like pieces like that, become memorable because of the way you experience it. I've played like tons of fighting games. What do I remember? I remember Street Fighter 2. I remember that experience because it's the first time I played anything like it. I played like 4 or 5 of the Mortal Kombat games. Only gave a shit about the first 3. I don't even remember what the 4th one looked like. It's like it's like that.
Raiden's in it. That's what you need to know.
It's all of them.
Yeah, I think Raiden was in it.
That's what shit, right? There you
go. And it's like so people will still talk about it for years to come because they'll compare it to other types of narratives,
Adam.
So I think in that way it's essential, and people will look either back on it fondly or not fondly. It doesn't matter if they'll look back on it because it was different.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, let us move on to the next question from Christina, who asked us, by the way, this is something we kind of dropped the ball on. We should have talked about this on the Thursday show. This is fucking crazy. Okay, what are your thoughts about the Brazilian professional Counter-Strike Go player who was sentenced to 116 years on fraud charges? How crazy is that? So basically what happened is, so basically her name is Cheyenne Victorio. She's from Brazil, professional CSGO player. So she ran an online store for a number of years, and she's being charged with fraud because, she failed to deliver items to 118 customers. Here's the thing. Brazil's actual maximum sentence is 30 years, so it's crazy that she's getting 116 years. I'm like, yo, did she murder motherfuckers?
So they gave her a year for every order she missed? Is that how they did
that's
it?
what it looks like. For every order she missed, like 100.
Maybe they're just trying to make a statement here.
That's a hell of a statement, yo.
That's a hell of a statement.
That's more of a statement. That's a fucking... that's fucking
It won't be tolerated. Cut the bullshit.
Yeah, but this is like more extreme. Like you could kill a motherfucker, you don't get the like.
I feel like all the Brazilian criminals that are out there were probably gotten better sentences than she had gotten.
Holy shit! Yeah, this is too extreme, man.
Yeah, I'm like,
I'm sorry.
the only thing I could guess is because I don't know how the Brazilian court system works. I'm like, are all the people in the jury people that bought her shit and she didn't like, give them the stuff? Like, yo, what the hell is that? You know?
I mean, I feel like drug dealers have gotten worse, gotten less, less sentences than she has.
By the way, because I've looked around, no one has said how it's possible that she's gotten a sentence like that when the maximum is supposed to be 30. And even, I'm sorry, listen, she's like, she should be.
No, you're right, because she got 116 counts of it, man.
Yeah, I go, damn. Or I can't math. How many counts of 30 is that?
How many counts of 30?
Yeah.
Almost 4.
So 4 counts of this, I guess. But it's still insane, Like, damn. It's like, yo, you didn't even kill nobody. How the fuck did you even get that shit?
Well, maybe she knowing the way the Brazilian government is, maybe she failed to give a little bit under the table.
Shit,
man. Maybe that's it. She didn't give him a cut.
Yeah. By the way, you're right, GZR.
Here all the time.
Yeah. No, you're right about that. Yeah, and she is blaming her husband for this. It's like, but listen, here's the thing: whoever is ultimately responsible, they need to be punished some way. Obviously, you're frauding a bunch of people. But 116 years? It's like, yo, that's fucking serial killer sentencing right there.
Yeah, like who did she murder? Who did she sell millions of dollars of drugs to?
Like,
they're
yo.
they're like, don't you dare rip people off, you son of a bitch.
Well, you see, that brings up the whole debate between a blue collar and a white collar crime. Because that was the whole thing with Murdoch's and all the other ones. It was like, oh, come on, they shouldn't go to jail that long. They didn't murder anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, like, I'm not saying she shouldn't go to jail, but that seems pretty insane. But who knows? Brazil's crazy anyway, so who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they're just trying to set an example. Of
That's a hell of an example.
Yeah, right?
Well, hey. It's like
now you won't break the law.
It's like you said, a really, really extreme example, and then people just will be like, hey, you know what? Let's not do what she did. It seems like if you do that, then things go really bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, her sentence was due to the charge that 118 customers did not receive the goods they purchased. But like Brett said, she gets a year for every single one of them?
Yeah, I said that she gets a year for every order missed. But, I mean, maybe they did that to circumvent that 30-year rule. Maybe you can only be charged a maximum of 30 years for one count. So they gave 118 counts of 1 year. Damn. And then made it consecutive, right? So you get a 118-year sentence. And but what did she learn from this? You would have been better off repossessing our house and our car than fucking locking her up for the rest of her life for this shit.
They're making an example out of her.
Yeah, but it's ridiculous.
It's insane.
But I'm not saying it's not ridiculous. But I'm saying that that stuff happens here. Like people, fraud people of millions of dollars. Like, oh, get off on a couple years of diversion. Meanwhile, somebody, smokes a joint too close to a school and they get 25 years. It's. I'm not saying that they're worse there, but the same kind of weird shit happens here, where it's like, okay, you just so happen to have been caught with 30 different cases of this. So, like I had heard back in the day, and I don't know if this was an urban myth or anything like that, but if anybody ever caught anybody with LSD, that it was 1 count of manslaughter per hit or per dose that you were taking, that you carried around with you.
Yeah. By the way, Goose says if she loses all her appeals, she would then begin her jail time. However, the longest she can serve is 30 years, which is the maximum amount of time someone can be jailed in Brazil, no matter the length of the original sentence. She won't serve the 116 years. Yeah, we're not saying she is going to serve that. We're saying that's still fucking crazy that, she got served that. You know what I'm saying? But she obviously won't be in jail that long. But even 30 years sounds pretty crazy too. But maybe they take that shit really seriously down there,
And then,
Jesus.
Yeah, the judge is like, how many times people like you never sent me my fucking order. That's it. You're getting it.
Yeah, maybe they fraudulent orders or whatever are rampant in Brazil. So I need to set an example.
I was about to ask that.
Like it could be a genuine problem. Who knows? You know.
It's like Amazon's like really fucked up over there. Like they literally just don't. Nobody ever gets their orders ever.
Yeah, right. By the way, that's funny. Amazon Brazil. Just throw that out there. That's
Shit.
pretty funny. All right, man. We've answered that, so let's move on to the next question here. Look at the Chiron. Da-da-da. Okay,
Chiron.
first, yeah, this is from Roman Ronan. He goes, "Hey guys, this is more a question of personal preference, but you guys offer a lot of interesting thoughts and opinions. Thank you, sir. We appreciate that. We try, man. We try."
Arigato.
Yeah, arigato, Mr. Roboto. All right, so the question is, between Final Fantasy 12 and 15, which would you suggest to someone who has never played either one? No real criteria, whatever justification you want to use. All right, this is an interesting one because both of these games, at least within the Final Fantasy realm, are kind of like controversial in their own way. Final Fantasy 12 because of the, kind of the Gambit system, then 15 for taking like 15 years to come out. I've been thinking about this question tonight. I would. This is gonna sound like a cop-out answer. Both. Here's the thing: when Final Fantasy is good, Final Fantasy, it's different. Every game. That's what's always fun about Final Fantasy games. Each game is different than the last one. There are no two Final Fantasy games that are the same. It's not like Dragon Quest. Dragon Quest games are all the same all the time, right? But Final Fantasy games are always different. So,
But then wasn't Cloud in most of them?
no, he wasn't. He was only in one of them.
He's in two of them.
He's in, yeah. Like the only thing that crosses over is the monsters, and some of the characters names cross over, but in general, they're always different things. Like basically, you could jump
chocobos.
Chocobos, animals. You could jump into any Final Fantasy.
Even
game.
chocobos weren't all in every Final
No,
Fantasy.
they weren't. Yeah, they're just in. They started in 3, I believe. But the point is, like, you could jump in, you could pick up any random Final Fantasy game and know you're getting a full experience. You don't have to like play the previous one or the one after that. Now, granted, there are exceptions, like you have Final Fantasy X and you have Final Fantasy X-2, shit like that. Or Final Fantasy 13, 13-2, Lightning Strikes, or Lightning Returns. But other than that, they're pretty self-contained. But between 12 and 15, I would say play both because they're radically different from one another. They don't play anything the same. Final Fantasy 12 is more like Final Fantasy 12. I call it a offline MMO. That's what that game kind of feels like. It feels very much like an MMO where you see enemies on the field as soon as you see them, you engage them, but it's still kind of turn-based in a way, but also kind of real time at the same time. Final Fantasy 15 is pretty much hack and slash controls there with some strategy here and there, but they're very different. So I would suggest both of them. Start with 12 and then go to 15, but that's what I would say. Play both of them. I know it's a bit of a cop-out, but they're both good games, man. I like them both. They're both very different.
And you can get both this gen, right? Because they remade 12.
That's right. Yeah, Final Fantasy 12. I personally really like it. I like the Gambit system in there a lot. Very underrated game, in my opinion. All right, anybody else want to jump in on this?
I've never actually played either one of them. The last Final Fantasy game I've actually played was 10.
Yeah, that's where you stopped. Yeah,
that's where I stopped. That's when my life got busy. I don't know. I mean, to be honest, like they give two different sorts of impressions.
Yeah.
Like one's like going toward the action RPG, and then one is gone full action RPG. So, I mean, to be honest, I would say just give them the 15 one because it's the most accessible of those two of the two. It's not because of story wise, but it's because of just the way general audiences are. They're not really into that sort of into sort of
Roman Ronan's a gamer though. Just keep that in mind. He's a real Roman Ronan is a real gamer though. Just
well, I mean, it depends on who. It all depends on who you're giving it to. I mean, if you're giving it to a person like who's more into actiony sorts of games, I wouldn't give them the turn-based one, and vice versa.
Yeah, well, he's asking for himself specifically.
Oh, for himself.
Yes.
If he's a gamer and if he's into more, into more strategy sort of stuff, then I would go with the 13.
For 12.
Yeah, 12. Sorry.
Yeah, he's asking specifically for himself.
I would say go with 12 because I feel like it's a little bit more truer to the way Final Fantasy games were traditionally, whereas 15 is just like it's it's just an action game with numbers that show up and leveling up.
Oh, man. By the way, you can say that about a lot of games that came out this generation. You know, it's like
They're not. They're all like soft. What we call what I'd like to call soft RPGs, where they're essentially they're just action games that have numbers that show up when you hit things.
Yeah, pretty much. All right.
Even Fallout could say it's actually more RPG-ish than current Japanese RPGs.
That's true.
Because you can literally play Fallout turn-based, full on.
And yeah, I've made that argument to people.
Yeah. No, you're
like,
right.
No, dude, it's pretty much still a turn-based game. I'm like, no, it's not. I was like, yeah, the VAT system makes it turn-based. Freezes time.
Yeah, that's what turn-based is, you know.
Yeah, is it? I thought it's like you take turns.
Well, the turn-based
unless
RPG.
You plan on standing there, well, that means just punch you in the face. I don't
it's
consider
not
that to be turn-based.
It's not turn-based. It's slowdown based.
It's slowdown based. By the way, we should say,
dude, how many quote-unquote turn-based JRPG games did like a timed wheel kind of thing, like where your time hits and then it starts a cooldown, and then when that cooldown comes back up, it's that player's turn again, kind of thing.
Eternal Sonata.
Yeah.
I don't know, because I mean, a true turn-based RPG, you can just like it could be your turn and just stay like that forever, not do anything.
Yeah, like Pokemon, like that's legit turn-based. Like
that
you
is
take
turn-based.
A turn, they take a turn. You take a turn, they take a turn. Like
yeah, that's turn-based. Oh, by the way, I need to address something real quick. Goose says, so what makes a JRPG a JRPG is just the fact that they are turn-based. We never said that. We never said that. You know, we're just saying that a lot of JRPGs nowadays are action. You know.
Yeah, they're more action.
But they're still JRPGs. You know.
They're more. Yeah, they're more action based. Traditionally, JRPGs use a lot of JRPGs, or at least most of them were all turn-based RPGs, and the American or the more westernized versions were a little bit more action.
No, that's not what Manny said, dude. He just said that Fallout is more. It's more turn-based than Japanese RPGs are now. You know, I can see why you thought he said that, but that's not what he said. You know, but I know how to read Manny's mind.
It's not like, it's just because something is turn-based doesn't mean it's a Japanese RPG. Because I mean, there are previously where Japanese RPGs got that sort of turn-based system was from Western games.
Yeah,
Western games did it first because they're basing it off of like Dungeons and Dragons, where it's like a roll system where you have to wait and you roll and then the other guy rolls and then for how many hits you're gonna do.
Yeah, but no, we didn't say that. JRPG has to be turn based. He just like we just said, most JRPGs nowadays are action based, but that doesn't not to make them hard JRPGs. They're still JRPGs. They're RPGs from Japan. That's what a JRPG is. Simple as that. All right, I think we answered that one, so we'll move on to the next question. Get the Chiron again. Chiron. All right, so he goes, what's one game that you didn't understand why people overhyped it for being an exclusive? My personal choice is Scalebound, and I think the fact that it was in limbo for so long until it officially got canceled had a lot to do with the quote-unquote eye test. It just didn't look like a franchise Microsoft would bet on or put massive marketing behind. So yeah, he's basically asking what game got overhyped because it was an exclusive.
Pretty much all of them.
All the Microsoft games this generation. You know why? Because they had to be overhyped because they don't have anything.
Yeah,
we said that before.
I feel like Scalebound was more of a Microsoft game than that other one, than the fucking the one with the robot, the one that was done by Record. That shit.
That was my answer for this.
Yeah,
that
was
got overhyped. Yeah, that was overhyped like hell.
That one was overhyped.
Well,
yeah, to be fair though, I did enjoy what I played of Recore, right? And I played most of it, but yeah, that was overhyped as fuck. But just like a lot of Xbox games this generation, they get overhyped, and then when they come out, they don't buy them.
Yeah, maybe another one would be the friggin' the one that you guys played.
Crackdown 3.
Crackdown, yeah.
Crackdown is another one. I
don't think it was overhyped. I think it wasn't hyped at all. They knew it wasn't going to be great, so there was really no hype for it. Crackdown 3.
I don't know. Really advertise it. Those Xbox guys, they were overhyping it, man.
I think
there was no overhype for it.
I think what happened.
I can't wait to play that. I can't wait to play that.
Yeah, you didn't see that? Carlos, back me up here, bro.
There was none of that.
I think Crackdown had the unfortunate
too many delays.
I think it had that too, but I think it had the unfortunate problem of being stuck, the only man out, the only exclusive in a sea of non-exclusives. So
They had other exclusives at the same time.
automatically.
Forza Horizon came out at the same time.
What was that?
Forza Horizon 4 that came out.
I feel like Forza it has a consistent base. Like it's like the Gran Turismo games. It's like you just keep releasing them and they keep doing something. I think the people already knew what to expect from that game. I think when it came to Crackdown, it kind of had that unfortunate point of being like within that thing of like, oh shit, this is the thing that we need to talk about, right?
No, only because if people played the sequels and they knew what to expect. The only one that was ever good was the first one. The second one came out and it sucked. So there was really no expectation for this one, just that they were making another one. And we waited, and then we saw the destructible environments years ago. And then they got delayed, and then they backtracked on that.
I think because it still had that sort of hype from when they were just like, hey, look, we're resurrecting the game that you haven't seen in a long time. And I feel like if that game came out, the game that we currently got came out pretty much close to when they announced the thing, I think it would have been at a little bit of better standing than it was now. We're just like literally coming toward the end of the generation, and there's nothing else. There's nothing else around it.
I do need
for all those delays.
I need to add this. One of the things that did, make people go crazy for Crackdown 3 was the destructible environments, which they.
But that was early, and then they backtracked after that.
Yeah, no,
2 years after that announcement, they backtracked.
Yeah, no, I'm not disagreeing with that, but again, maybe because of the specific people I follow, like even up until launch, they were like, "Yo, this is gonna be fucking crazy."
They were bored. They were bored, and they were pulling it under arm hands. They didn't care.
I see Crackdown on the level of a Gravity Rush. As much as I like Gravity Rush, it did decently for what it was. But at the same time, that Gravity Rush probably wasn't selling consoles. And same thing with Crackdown. But Gravity Rush had the luxury of being launched in between an era where there were other games to sort of talk about. Rather than essentially just clearing out the whole base. Like we cleared out every single PlayStation exclusive that was sitting around it, and Gravity Rush was the only one that was sitting in the middle there. Yeah. I think that's why that's why there was a lot of expectation behind it.
Here's the thing, just to be an asshole, I do want to say Sea of Thieves, but it eventually earned that hype. You know what I'm saying? By becoming a better game in the end. So I'm not going to count that one.
Now that one was very hyped. They had those director videos, the making ofs. They did the ads. They did the director interviews. They did the tours. They were expecting a lot of great things from that game. That Crackdown had too many delays, and by the time it was in its last year cycle, they already stopped it, and they just said, "Hey, it's got Terry Crews." That's it. It's got Terry Crews.
Yeah, that's because they didn't put Keanu Reeves in it.
He backed out at the last minute. So,
but yeah, Recore is one of. There's a few other.
Like Sunset Overdrive.
Yeah. So, oh man,
it had a ton of hype.
That did,
yeah, man.
Yo, and I like that game. I like that game.
That was a good game.
Yeah. Go ahead, Brett.
This isn't limit. Oh, go ahead, Brett.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to say the multiplayer version of Red Dead 2?
It's
Xbox
not an
exclusive.
Xbox exclusive.
Oh no, it has to be an exclusive.
It has to be a system exclusive.
It's a system exclusive, yeah. So you could say the Order 1886.
Yeah, so that's what I was gonna say. Like this isn't limited to Microsoft. This definitely goes to Sony too.
You know what? Order
1886.
No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No Man's Sky. Oh, yeah, that's another one. And by the way, Goose said this too. Drive Club.
Drive Club. Oh yeah.
Drive Club. Yep. Drive Club.
Like how many people?
Drive Club. That was a good one.
How many people would care about the Order 1886 or No Man's Sky or Drive Club if they weren't an exclusive?
Yo, I'm gonna keep throwing some more Sony because remember we're fair around here. Knack, that was overhyped and
then Knack was a Killzone Shadowfall.
That's another one, By the way, No Man's Sky, it's not exclusive anymore. It was.
But at launch it was.
Yeah, it's not anymore, obviously. But it was in the beginning. Remember, that was the big game Sony was touting for years. You know, and it got to the point even the fan base was fucking rabid. Where basically anybody that said anything negative about the game got death threats. I wish I was making that up.
people, man.
I didn't get death threats, but I
They're
got some
crazy.
shit. Whenever I reported on the game, my inbox would be like, "Oh, what the fuck, man?"
You know what I don't get, and I can never do this because you just got to see through the bullshit. Is if you like a game and there's certain things that come out after the fact or even during the fact, you're like, I just don't like it, and people shit on you like, "Oh, you're not real fans." Like, why do you have to drink all the Kool-Aid? I don't get that. It's like you can like certain things. Bro. That's what I don't get. Like I'm dealing with that right now. I'm getting a lot of people giving me a lot of hate online because of the whole gun Tamagotchi shit that Call of Duty's doing. That was my game of the year, 2019. Remember I said it. Yeah. That's my game of the year. But I'm not buying into the gimmick of a Tamagotchi in the game, and people are flipping the fuck out on.
If you want me to stop sending you those emails, I'll stop.
You need to stop. Because these fucking people are spamming me on YouTube about this shit. They're like, "Oh, you're not a real fan." It's like, what do you mean? What am I supposed to do? And absorb everything? No, I'm sorry. I'm not one of those followers. It's like, I like the game. You want to spit all these other little gimmicks to keep me playing? Some I may like, some I may not. Am I cool with little having charms hanging off my gun? That's kind of stupid, but whatever. I'll accept it. But once you say, "Oh, put a little Tamagotchi and start feeding and doing," fuck that. I don't got time for that shit. I see what they're trying to do. They're trying to get you to get attached to it so you keep logging into play. That's all it's there for.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Sean Murray definitely overhyped that. Overpromised. Here's like Sean Murray. He didn't say no to anything. That's his problem.
Yeah.
Any question he asked, he said yes. Does the game have multiplayer? Yes. Does it have multiple different planets that you could with different races? Yes. He said yes to everything.
Yeah.
Can you do multiplayer on it? Sure.
It's funny because all the things that he said it was going to do, it now does.
Now it does. But
does it? Can you still see your friends playing? Because that was an issue before. People were like, "Oh, I'm on the planet. I don't see you."
You can see multiple. You can see people
now.
friends
again,
and all kinds of stuff.
Yes, he said yes to everything
before it was even in the game. He said it was
yes. Just because a game is overhyped doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Because Cuphead was definitely overhyped and it lived up to it.
It was good. It was good.
Lived up to the hype. You know, and again, I don't
know if that means
that was an exclusive.
What happened?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it was overhyped.
No, it wasn't.
I think overhyped means it's.
I think it was hyped perfectly. Don't you think?
I thought it was overhyped because, like I mentioned before, like doesn't mean it's not a great game because it was like top 3 my game of the year. But
no, you know what, Carlos? I'm going to go with you. It was overhyped, especially by the fanboys. You know, but it deserved it in the end.
And most people wouldn't have cared about a game like fucking Cuphead if it wasn't an exclusive at that time. That's just the thing with me. Like,
I don't know. I disagree with that. I think the art style really set apart from everything else, and people were excited. But to quote you, they were saying, "Is that real gameplay?" Like people were unsure of how the game looks, and it's like, is that the real game or is that like a cartoon, like a cinema? Like
you know what's funny? I saw that game before anybody was talking about it. I was talking about it at when we saw it at E3, and I thought it looked really cool. And I talked to the developers and everything about it, and nobody really gave a shit until it became exclusive. Yeah,
interesting.
Yep. Because at the time when I saw Cuphead, that game was not an exclusive. It was just it was just going to be coming out on the Xbox.
No one gave 2 shits about the fucking Forest or fucking Super Lucky's Tale, which were on PC until they became console exclusives. It's just every fucking everything that becomes a quote unquote exclusive in any capacity, console launch exclusive, console exclusive, whatever the hell it is. Like that's
it's all about marketing. It's all marketing. Whoever gets to put the most money behind it to throw it in your face and then make you say, "Hey, wow, it's super hyped. I see ads for it everywhere." Yeah, thank the marketing department. They did that.
Well, and the fanboys, I think.
Oh, fanboys!
They spread it. They buy into it. They buy into the propaganda, and then they spread it.
It's spreading.
It's spreading
like cooties.
You got the cooties.
Got cooties. Damn Jenny.
Yeah, GZDR. I don't know if you want that to be an official question, but I'm making it one because it's related. Oh, this is gonna set some people on fire.
Set the world on fire.
Wait, what's going on, man?
Are you ready, man?
Oh, dude! I just read it.
Oh shit!
It's not
is this the one about the doctor?
Because this is a oh man! All right.
And can Brian answer it first?
Yes. You know what? Carlos is doing something special tonight. Why don't you ask the question?
So GZDR Forever says, "Is Cyberpunk being overhyped?"
Oh, man, GZDR, man.
Is it?
Brian, you go first. Is Cyberpunk 2077 being overhyped?
I think it is, but not by the fan base. I think it's been hyped by other people who want to put it in the hyped status sphere, if you wish. I think it's been overhyped by the Last of Us guys that want to compare Last of Us.
Yeah, of course.
Yo,
Yeah.
Brian, man.
No, like
Okay,
no,
explain this one.
you are
Explain
the
this one.
ones- Okay, every time I hear Cyberpunk being mentioned, it's always some people saying that, "Oh, what would you rather play, Cyberpunk or The Last of Us?" It's like, why are you trying to compare the two together? They're different genres, different feels. Like they have nothing to do with each other at all. Why are you making it a competition? Like, why are you trying to do that? And I don't know why they're trying to do that. Like ever since day one, I was like, okay, cool. The Cyberpunk game looks cool. When they first made that CG trailer way back when with the girl with the
knife hands.
Cyclops, yeah, I was like, okay, cool. This game looks cool. I'll wait until I see some gameplay and take things from there. And since then, I played Witcher 3. I'm like, okay, cool. These devs, they have good ideas. And then I found out about GOG. I'm like, okay, these devs, they're all in the idea of making games that benefits the customer. So hence I started saying, okay, cool. Like Cyberpunk, chances are, is going to be quite good. And then, of course, when Brett started saying that we've seen nothing of Cyberpunk within 1 year, and I'm like, look, we got like an hour-long demo of the damn game. Like that's more than most games do. So I don't know what he was talking about. So yeah, I don't think it's being overhyped by the fan base. I think it's being overhyped by people that want to compare it to other games and say which one's better.
Oh,
So
man.
hence, yes, but not by the people that you think it is, in my opinion.
That's funny. I don't know. I think it's a hard question because it's like, is it being overhyped? I think it's being hyped enough. I think so because CD Projekt Red, even though I don't really have experience with them, I recognize that they're a very talented group and a lot of people like them, and people like The Witcher and all that other shit. So I think the game. Here's the thing. I'm gonna say this. I think the game is the attention it's getting makes sense given the push that's being put out there, especially because of Keanu Reeves being in it and all this other shit, the studio's track record and all that. So I think it's getting just the right amount of, attention. So I guess that's kind of my answer. So, because the thing is, even though, like, technically, yes, a game doesn't have to be bad to overhype, there's still a part of me that still believes that. And nothing about this, even though I'm personally not interested in this game, there's something about it that smells bad. Everything I've seen looks fucking quality. And I'm just trying to be objective about it here. So I think I think it's justified. I think that's what I'm trying to get at. It's not really a matter of like overhyping or anything. I think the attention is getting makes sense given who the developers are and the stars and all that other shit behind it. What about the rest of you guys? Do you think the game's being overhyped? Cyberpunk's 2077's? Brett, you get in here, man, since you're the other guy that's kind of hyped for this.
Yeah, 100%, 110%.
Right, you get to respond because you were directly invoked.
Yeah, am I not?
Yeah, no, Brett, go ahead, man. Carlos, what the fuck you doing, man? Fucking up the flow.
It's a debate joke.
You're supposed to be my other co-host, man. Don't fuck it up. Go ahead, Brett.
Yeah, of course it's overhyped. 100% it's overhyped. I mean, how is it possibly not being overhyped? I mean, people are acting like it's the second coming of Jesus, and no matter how good of a game it is, it's not going to live up to the expectations that people are, putting on it. I don't know how you would define overhyped more than that. Like, it could be a quality game. It really could be. Everybody's expecting it to be this, like, really deep, immersive world, and maybe it is. Maybe every little thing that you do has a lasting impact choice on the story and the world and everything like that. And maybe it's everything that Mass Effect promised that it would be, set in a beautiful, visually stimulating world, with likable characters, engaging combat, a robust crafting system, true equipment loadout, and every other fucking bell and whistle. Do I think that's going to fucking happen? No, it's going to be a AAA story game set in a steampunk universe or a cyberpunk universe. That's going to be it. I mean, I don't even like. I like CD Projekt Red, I do, but they definitely go and do their own thing, and that's not always the best, as evidenced by the fact that I didn't like any of the Witcher games, and I fucking tried. I tried ridiculously hard, And that's when they had award-winning source material to work with. Like the Witcher books were already acclaimed very highly in their own right. We see the show doing well, and everybody says, oh no, you don't have to be a fan of the game to watch a show, which says to me that the source material they're working with is at least somewhat solid. So I don't see anything, and I don't see any reason to doubt that this will be a good game, but I don't see anything to really show me that this is going to be the next high watermark against which all games are judged. And that seems to be the prevailing attitude of the internet right now. So I just don't know how you can live up to that.
Brian, you were directly invoked. You have 30 seconds to respond.
I think it's going to be a really good game. I mean, Witcher 3 was really good. Like, everything about Witcher 3 was, if not average, then better than average. Like, I can't really say anything about Witcher 3 was bad or low standards. It was like, okay, everything's either really good or really great, or just average. You can sit here and say that, okay, the combat was bad. It's like, combat felt different. It felt all right. It doesn't have many problems that other combat games or games combat did have.
Oh, come on! I'll give you a lot of wiggle room. The combat in fucking Witcher 1 fucking sucked, and they knew it, and that's why they retooled it to something that was barely passable by the third game. Don't act like that's fun or engaging combat, because everybody that I talk to, the combat I fucking hate in the game. They're like, well, you don't play for the combat. Now that's the number one thing you get told by huge fans of the game. You know the combat wasn't good. And that was by the third game. The first game fucking sucked. It sucked donkey balls in its combat.
Yeah, first game was rough.
Tell me how you really feel, Brett.
Dude, I'm just saying, if we're gonna have an actual conversation, let's have an actual conversation. Call fucking spade a spade. Don't say that the everything about it was average or above average when the fucking
the 3, Brett. Please calm down.
It was barely passable by the third game. But I'll agree with you.
Barely
that
passable.
The game was
Do
about.
not talk to me about barely passable combat when there's Fallout there, okay? Because we
Hey,
don't.
Hey. At least the problem with Fallout was that it was broken, not intended to be boring.
It was barely passable, Brett.
Throwdown, son.
Brett.
Yeah, at least you can fix that. You can fix broken. You can't fix boring.
See, he and I had. Brett,
You can fix boring. They did it in No Man's Sky.
Ideas of boring. Anyway, back to my point. Everything about Witcher 3 was either average or really quite good. I mean, you take the whole thing, and you'd be hard pressed to find games that have better stories in their side quests. I mean, unequivocally, it has the best side quests I've ever played in any single game, and I played quite a few games. Again, I've not played Mass Effect, so hence I can't judge that. But even then, there are stories in this game that I remember more than actual games.
Brian, you should play Yakuza, man. Those side quests are fucking great.
I will get round to it. I will, but. To me, Witcher 3 is now my benchmark for this is what you can get from a $60 game. So every game will be compared to this, and this is why I don't like some games being $60 because you're essentially saying that cool, I'm gonna be in the same weight category as The Witcher 3, and it's like Witcher 3 is a heavy motherfucker, he's like a
Mike Tyson.
super. Yeah, like Mike Tyson squared type stuff, he's he's a heavy motherfucker to beat. So hence I'm like, okay, let's not get too hasty there.
But he's specialized. I'm not arguing that this game is not going to be a quality game, but I don't think it's going to deliver on all fronts. I mean, they're making a first person. They made a third person melee game, and suddenly they're making a first person gun game. Do you think that their gun mechanics are going to be, stellar, or do you think they're just going to be kind of passable with an awesome story and an awesome set piece world? I'll grant you that there'll be good things in it, but people are acting like everything about this is going to be the next high watermark, and I don't think it's going to be. I think you're setting yourself up for another Anthem.
I'll be happy with just passable, because most games these days are just passable. You get a few games that truly stand out and being great. How many first-person games actually have great mechanics in first person? Maybe you miss off 4 or 5. In the world where a good third of every single game is in first person, that's really bad. So hence having a just passable game is hey, you know what? You're doing better than most people are, and they specialize in that aspect. So well done to you.
Hey Brian, can I You want to tag me in on this?
Yep. Go on.
Actually, no, wait. Before you guys go, I have to bring up the most important thing right now, and Brett's not on camera right now. Because because I'm listening to this shit. His fucking cat's been following him the entire time. Every time he pops up on camera. That was awesome. And I think I heard him meowing shit. Shout out to the pod cat, man. Anyway, go on.
All right. So Brett, I'm gonna throw this. This is gonna be a mic drop moment. So just get ready for it. So, this doesn't involve.
You announce a lot of mic drops that don't happen.
Oh damn, Carlos!
All right, we'll
Talk about hyped, right? Overhyped mic drops.
I don't even need to.
Deuces.
I don't even need to invoke Fallout 76, but I will invoke.
I mean, it sounds like you just did.
No,
No avail, but you did.
I just like to, throw things on the.
I don't know what's happening right now, but keep going.
Yo, so one of my
going down.
top 10, maybe top 5 games of all time for me. One of them is Fallout 3. It has shitty ass first person shooting mechanics. No,
I agree. But here's the thing. People,
hold on. GCDR says that wasn't a mic drop. That was a mic check. Damn, Carlos.
Well, he didn't get to hear the punchline. Hey man, if you're gonna comment on a joke, wait for it to finish. Let me finish, motherfucker.
Anyway, go on, Brett. Yo, this is crazy right now. Brett, I cut you off. Sorry, brother.
I was gonna say people know that about Fallout. They don't go in expecting Fallout, as Tony has pointed out so many times. They don't expect it to go in and be like this miraculous smooth thing with beautiful character models and a completely unglitchy world. Like they have measured expectations. My point about it is that it's not that Cyberpunk is not going to be a good game. It's that it doesn't have measured expectations. It is taking somebody like CD Projekt Red and The Witcher, who have seen massive success in a fairly niche field, and then throwing them right in the middle of the stage, putting the spotlight on them, and expecting them to be perfect from every angle. And that's really tough to do with a lot of studios. And I don't know that this game is going to deliver on every single point. Like, everybody's expecting this to be 10 across the board. Like, 10 in music composition, 10 in storytelling, 10 in gameplay, 10 in replayability. Like, they're just expecting too much of this game. I'm not saying it's going to be bad. I'm just saying you can't expect everything. I mean, this is pretty much the closest thing to what people are expecting from fucking Star Citizen. Like, it's a fully immersive world where you can pretty much go anywhere and, like, do anything, and you just basically live in this cyberpunk world. Your actions affect the world. It's got Keanu Reeves in it, and, like, it's just, man, it's going to be a kind of Sony-esque game. It's going to be heavily narrative. There's going to be a few characters in it that play large recurring roles. It's not going to be a living, breathing cyberpunk world that you can just walk around and endlessly fucking live in. And that's the thing. People have retarded expectations. This is coming from somebody who firmly believes that the problem with Fallout 76 wasn't as much of its launch as some of it was. I'll fully admit that. As much as people were expecting far too much. They told them exactly what it was going to be. They told them it was running on the Fallout 4 engine and was a multiplayer game. But people still got pissed off when it still looked like Fallout 4. Like, people don't have reasonable expectations. And I don't think this game has reasonable expectations. So by its definition, I feel like it's going to be overhyped.
But Brett, what if you're wrong?
Yes. What if this is the single greatest game that we've seen in the last, 10 years? I could be wrong, sure.
The last 10 years kind of sucked, so...
I will admit that. Yeah. I will admit that. But I wasn't wrong with like Spider-Man was one of those high water games, right? But you don't get those. Yeah, and see, even that's arguable.
I don't wear high water pants anymore.
I love Spider-Man, but the swinging mechanics are what makes it fun. But everything else about the game is just okay.
That is my point exactly. Spider-Man was this high water, supposed to come out and set the new standard for gaming, and it did a pretty good job. It was a solid game, but at the end of the day, it was a bunch of pieces from previous games that had worked well, bolted together with some swing mechanics and a fairly decent story with some fan service. It wasn't the fucking Beethoven's Fifth, but
it was good. But people were expecting it to be this, this will be the single greatest game that PlayStation 4 has ever produced. That was their firm idea prior to it coming out. And even that is impossible to live up to. I'd go so far as to say most games these days are overhyped because we fucking don't get enough of them. When we get 7 games a year, of course they're going to be overhyped because there's 7 games in this month. We spent 2 fucking months looking at one game and being like, oh, I hope it's going to be good. And that gives people too much time to get too fucking excited about it. It's like if somebody laid your Christmas present out under the tree, refused to let you touch it, shake it, or even do anything to it, just stare at it 2.5 months before Christmas. Like, this is fucking cruel. Like, no matter what the fuck is in that box, it's not going to live up to 2 or 3 months of expectations.
Oh, shit.
It's not. And you know it's not. Unless it's a Nintendo. That was always the deal. Like, swear to God, if this thing's a motherfucking Nintendo, I'm going to shit myself. Nope. It's a pair of boots.
Damn it, Brett. I think you may have made me kind of change my answer.
What was your answer?
My answer was that I don't think it's overhyped because of the fact that it's CG Project Red and they do good stuff. But what Brett just said right now, this instant about it's not going to live up to the hype because it's like a Christmas present and shit. You have this hype going on and on. When you unwrap it, it's not going to be like what you think. Oh, I think that's going to happen with this game. Now that I think about it, with people, for me, I don't give a fuck about this game, so I don't care. But like I think some people may be disappointed, like Brett, because he's a cyberpunk guy too, So yeah, maybe when they unwrap it, they'll be like, oh, maybe this was a little overhyped.
Well, dude, the fact that it's from CD Projekt Red only makes the situation worse. I mean, okay.
By the way, the CD Projekt Red, that's the angle. That's where I'm like, maybe it's justified because it's them. And I'm saying this as somebody who doesn't care about the studio. Objectively speaking, I understand why people could be hyped for the game just because of the studio.
But they're also the problem.
Okay, explain that one.
The problem because everybody's so excited because CD Projekt Red has been such a great studio that they can do no wrong. So people expect them to do no wrong. So God forbid they do one thing wrong. People slip up, man. People make not the greatest choices sometimes, and we've been really lucky. I'm thinking the Anthem keeps sneaking back up in my head, and I realize that is a completely different set of circumstances, and they were already on the downslope before that, and that it's not really a true comparison. I get that. I'm not even going to try and make that argument, but I feel like
EA exists.
Yeah, again, I'm not trying to make that argument, but the fact that it is CD Projekt Red, I think everybody says that same thing. It's CD Projekt Red. It's going to be amazing. Have you heard anybody say, this game's probably going to be pretty good? Like, most people say, this game's going to be amazing. It's CD Projekt Red. Have you seen it? Oh my god, it's going to have consequences. Like, I haven't seen anybody with any measured expectation of this game.
What about me? My expectation is pretty measured because I don't care. I think it's going to be a good game, but I don't think it's going to be the greatest thing ever.
I think it's because you don't care because you're not planning on playing it.
I probably am going to end up playing it anyway, but I don't care about it,
Yeah,
I
don't know that you'd buy it if you were just a normal person.
I probably not.
I think we can move on to the next question.
Yeah, let's move on.
It's by Eurocar9. Is Brett underhyping Cyberpunk?
Oh man! All right, yeah, we should probably move on.
I would say it will probably be about as good as Spider-Man.
Spider-Man was pretty fucking awesome, though.
It was, but it's being hyped way more than that. I don't think it's going to be what everybody wants with Star Citizen.
Well, that game, you want to talk about overhyped. That game's overhyped.
Well, it's not even a game.
It's not even a game, yeah. It's a scam,
Yeah, well, I mean, again, so was Mass Effect. Like, Mass Effect was a great game, right? The first two?
The first 3 were great games.
Oh, no, the first 3 and 90%.
Yeah, okay, fair. There was a bunch of that was really good, but the thing that they sold us, the lasting impact and change through an ever-branching story that sees consequence from your actions as time moves on, that wasn't real. None of it was, and now we realize that. Like, going back, like, oh, we're gonna see, like, no, like, A or B choices happen, and the story coalesces back on the other side, like water going around a rock. It doesn't fucking matter what you do. We all thought that it did. We were all sold on this idea, like, man, you're going to actually be able to have, like, real-life impact on a narrative world around you. And you didn't. They did a great job of smoke and mirrors and making it seem like that was the case, but it wasn't actually happening, right? Like, the bill of sale that they sold us with Mass Effect bill of goods that they sold us, thank you, was not what we received when we actually got the game. Even though the game is one of my favorite games ever, they sold me something unrealistic. And they gave me something great. I'm not disappointed. Was Mass Effect overhyped a little? Yeah, fuck yeah, it was.
But it earned it though by the third time.
Did it?
By the third.
No,
one,
it didn't because it had 3 different colors, dude. That thing that they
No.
promised.
I'm talking about by the time the third one came out. This is before anybody beat it. By the time the third one came out, that hype was earned because the first 2 games were fucking amazing. That's what I'm trying to get at.
I mean, they were, but you still have to admit that idea of, consequences that stockpile over games and say that's why your save data carries over. Like, that shit didn't actually matter. I was disappointed in the second game.
I don't disagree with you. I'm just saying the hype for 3 before it came out was justified. That's what I'm trying to get at.
And we may be taking hype a little bit differently too. Like, if you tell me I'm getting cereal with marshmallows and I get really excited about it, and then you give me cereal and I'm like, okay, it doesn't have any marshmallows, and I try, but I'm like, this is still damn good cereal, and I love the cereal, and it still wasn't what I was given. I'm still a little bit fucking disappointed.
No, I understand, but I'm talking about, but before you actually tasted the cereal, you had the hype based on the previous cereal. Understand?
Yeah, hindsight is 2020, Brett. Like, you can say that it didn't live up to the hype, but previously to when the game actually came out, the hype was justified because the first 2 games and I
knew what it was by
Dragon's Age.
And this is coming on, and Cyberpunk. Again, I'm trying to be fair here. This is coming off of The Witcher 3, probably the most celebrated game of the generation. So I understand the hype, but at the same time, I also see your point of it being overhyped.
How can you live up to it? How can you live up to that hype?
That's a different conversation. And
that's the conversation I'm having. How can you live up to that hype? I'm not saying it's gonna be disappointing.
Yeah.
How do you live up to that hype?
Yeah, that's a different thing altogether. I don't know if you can.
How is that? How's that a different conversation? If you can't live up to that hype, it is therefore overhyped.
No, but it's because Brett, you're making the argument. It's like, well, it can fail. I was like, yeah, everything can fail.
Yeah, we're not talking about that.
I'm not saying it can fail. I'm not saying it can fail.
You're saying it can be bad.
No, I'm not saying it can be bad. No. Have you not been listening? I've said multiple times, I'm absolutely sure it's going to be a good game. I just don't feel like it can live up to the hype.
But that's every game.
Giving it.
That's every game.
And that's another thing that I said. When I said we only get 7 games a year, I think that might be just a natural phenomenon.
Yeah, but you can.
I said all this if you were listening.
Oh, God.
You were paying attention. You failed the pop quiz.
Damn.
No, you're just making generalities about everything and just saying and justifying just one game. Like, you can be like, you're hyped about a lot of stuff, but you never bring up this argument for any of those other games.
No, dude, there's a lot of sleeper hits. We get lots of games that come out and they're like, oh, dude, they're never the greatest thing. And a lot of them are.
I think we're talking about 2 different things, man.
It's not about whether it's great or not great. That's not the conversation that we're having. We're having whether or not it lives up to its hype. So if you're expecting,
no, we're not having that conversation. We are having a conversation. Is the game currently overhyped? We're not talking about whether it is going to be overhyped or not. That's a different conversation. It's a good conversation. Don't get me wrong, but that's not what we're talking about. We're asking: is this game in this point of time overhyped? That's what we're asking.
Overhyped compared to what? What it actually is behind the curtains, or
no, overhyped in general. The word overhyped. Is the game overhyped? It's pretty simple.
Yeah. Does the track record is the gameplay we've seen? It's like, Brett, check this out. It's like we know the studio making it. We know the setting. We've seen an hour of gameplay. Is the hype that everyone's garnering from what we've seen justify what was going on? And that's pretty much just what the question is.
Yeah.
I think going into this without any apprehension is asking to be let down.
I think asking was Cyberpunk 2077, overhyped after the fact. I think that's a worthy question for sure. But at this point in time, we're not asking that. We're asking that, is this game currently overhyped? That's all we're asking.
Okay, well then I guess if that's the way that we're talking about, I guess I'll change my answer, because no, we don't hear much about it, but it's overhyped in the community, but not on stage. And I wish it were the other way around.
Yeah. Oh, man. All right, let's move on, man. We stayed on that one a little too long, but it was good. It was a good conversation. All right, next.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, you already know how we do on Throwdown, man. Let me get the Chirons here. Did I get the right one? There we go. And what's cool about the Chirons is I could just flip them out anytime I want, even different questions. All right, Tennessee Sooner. So his question is the gap between teraflops in the next gen systems something we should be worried about? So, but we don't know what the Sony's teraflops are.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
We don't
I
know. You know?
We know the
If there is a gap, I would say yes.
For sure, but we don't know that yet.
I mean, if it's a significant one, but if it's maybe like 1 teraflop difference, then I don't really see that much. That much of a big deal.
Okay. What does he mean by worried about? Like, worried about what exactly?
Wait, hold on. Who the fuck is dragging shit? I couldn't even hear Brian's question. All right, go ahead, Brian. Ask that again.
Worried about what exactly? Because again, like gaps and teraflops have always existed, like we've seen in this gen, and for the most part, in terms of the games that come out, it only really matters when you're looking at exclusives, and even then, it's down to the devs whether or not they put in the effort to actually utilize all of that power that is available. And then even if you do go down and say, okay, yeah, that is the case, then you get the Switch, which then comes out. It's like 1/3 the power of like most consoles, and yet its games you could say are better than other games on other platforms. So hence,
It's also portable.
Yeah, that's the thing. They're not going to be portable like the Switch is.
even that, the idea is that you can still get a system which has a massive gap in terms of its teraflops compared to other platforms, but yet the games are somewhat better. Like you're very hard pressed to find games that are better than Breath of the Wild on the Xbox. Like you can say the same thing about PlayStation, maybe depending on like who you argue with and how you argue. But even then, it's like the Switch has really good games, and it's like 1/3 of the power of all the other platforms. So hence why I don't think it does matter at all. It's down to what the game makers make and what they put into the games. So if they put in the right things into their games, then it won't matter.
Yeah, I agree with Brian. The Switch proved that power is not everything. The Switch is outselling the Xbox One X, which is the most powerful system ever, according to Microsoft.
And classically, it is always known that it is never really about the power. It's really about the games.
Yeah,
It's always been
So
that way.
this generation is the only weird
That applies
generation.
to life, man.
Yeah, I know. But this generation was the only weird generation where the most powerful system, in this case the PS4, was the most dominant one. But that is a fluke. Generally speaking, think about it. Like PS2, right, was the most popular console of that time. That was not the most powerful. Xbox and GameCube killed it. And last generation, what was the best-selling console? The fucking Wii.
Well, Tony, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, the reason that it hasn't mattered historically was because multi-plat games kind of just pandered to the lower common denominator. Now we're working off similar system architecture, and we have the ability to just scale games up. So this might be the first generation where if a system is more powerful, you may actually see the difference in gameplay. And we've already kind of opened that Pandora's box with having a PS Pro versus a regular PlayStation. So we're not really worried about parity as much as we used to be. So now that we have the ability to scale up, even if it's an extra, not necessarily teraflop, but if there's a difference in system horsepower, do you think that would make the difference? I think teraflop of storage, I don't think that's going to make people worry. But if there were actually a difference in system storage, which we've been talking about, or system power, I think this is the first generation where, dude, if every multi-plat game ran a little bit better on Xbox, that would be a problem.
I mean, I see what you're coming from, but at the same time, I still do think it comes down to games in the end. Like, Microsoft could have the better system on paper, but if the games ain't there, people aren't going to give a fuck.
It does. But as great as the Switch is, do you think people are buying their multi-plat games on the Switch?
Some people are because they're portable.
They are, but the mass majority of people aren't going to be playing Doom 3 on the Switch. They're going to be playing it on their other system.
You mean Doom Eternal?
Yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. Here's the thing, though. Like, even with the Pro... Oh, by the way, Just because the games are running on more powerful hardware, it's not going to change their gameplay. I think that may have been a Freudian slip on your part. Gameplay is going to be the same. Whether like Assassin's Creed 5 is going to play the same on Xbox One as it will on Xbox Series X. Gameplay wise, it's not going to look the same, obviously. But gameplay, it's not going to be like the Xbox Series. Yeah, but I'm talking about like the Xbox Series X is not going to have better AI or anything like that. You know,
more enemies on screen, more frames per second.
You think they'll do that though? Frames per second, I can see. I don't know about more enemies because that'll fundamentally.
Oh yeah, dude, especially like
no, they'll do that. They'll still do that.
Yeah, especially like zombie games. Like fuck yeah,
they did that before with Dead Rising.
With Dead Rising.
Yeah.
No, but I'm talking about like
what they're saying is we're not going to see a separate level. So it's not like
what I'm trying to get at.
If you're on this better system, then you're going to have 2 extra levels as
like for example, like Days Gone on regular PS4 has the same amount of zombies as it does on the Pro. The Pro doesn't generate more zombies. That's what I'm trying to get at. Understand? I don't think we're going to see. I mean, I think they're going to try to keep them as, parodied. I know that's not a real word as possible, which kind of stinks in a way.
But here's the thing.
That does only apply to third party, not first party.
By the way, Goose, great point. Nemesis system did not exist on the PS3 version of Shadow of Mordor. That's a great example, but that's also a rare example of different generations having different gameplay mechanics. That's very rare.
Here's the thing, though. Sony can artificially create that parity because they're working between their own 2 systems. Why would they not make sure that the version on the PS Pro has the same amount of zombies as the regular one on PlayStation? Microsoft has no obligation to do that same thing. Any edge that they can get in competition, including just 3 more extra zombies on screen, that's something to tout around and be like, Microsoft, the only system that gives you the most zombies. Like, come on. Like, we know when these people have a leg up, they don't play fair. And we've seen third-party developers get sucked into this bullshit all the time with timed exclusives and whatever. You flash enough money in front of them, they don't care. So if Microsoft, say, had more power in their system and the ability to hold more zombies on screen, they flash some money at a zombie game developer, it's not unrealistic to think that you would see a different number of enemies on screen or slightly more destructible environments or something like that. And they could make a statement that would say, well, due to the technical limitations of the system, this is only available on Microsoft, which would be fucking newsworthy. It would create huge amounts of buzz, and Microsoft would pay big money for that. Not saying it's a conspiracy, I'm just saying it works too easy.
Oh yeah, they could do that. The question is, will they do that?
Why wouldn't they?
No,
if the answer is, if the question is, will they do this and make more money, or will they not do this and not make any money? The answer is going to be they're going to do it and make money.
But the Xbox One X didn't do it.
It didn't compete with itself.
No, it didn't compete with itself, but it was supposed to be the most powerful system ever, and like the games were supposed to be better, and that didn't exactly, sell
that was a sideline elite system that didn't have a very big install base. When we're talking about the entire install base of the console itself, as opposed to, the less than 10% that are going with the elite version, I think that's going to make a difference. Because no, it's not worth it to Microsoft to shell out the extra amount of money to try and entice people to scale up their game for the like I said, 10% of their audience that owns the elite system.
But it did win whenever those that did performance comparisons. It did always win out on that. I remember with the Division and a few others. They said, "Hey, if you want the best looking on console, it looks better on the X."
Yeah, and Tony, do you remember when they used to pay developers? Microsoft used to pay developers to develop on Xbox consoles and then port to PlayStation so that they could boast the superior playability of their games.
Oh no, I definitely remember that. But they also made.
Why would they not do? It's the same thing. Why would they not do that again?
Obviously, companies, they roll back shit. They did actually say they were not going to do that years ago. So maybe they're going to change their minds. Who knows? But again, I don't really see that happening just because they have to make sure their game runs good on their old Xbox One. I think that's going to hold them.
No,
back,
I agree. But again, 60 frames per second. And minor things like you're not going to get new levels. You're going to get, as long as you don't give them new content, then it's the same thing. If you have a more robust Nemesis system or more enemies on screen or a longer draw distance or more frames per second, all of these things don't seem like they affect gameplay, but PC gamers will tell you that they do.
Oh, I'm not saying they won't affect the gameplay. Obviously, even though I was the guy that was like 60 frames, that shit don't matter. When I started playing at like 120 frames a second on PC, I'm like, oh shit, why am I playing better all of a sudden? It's because of the frames. But this is the heart of it. I don't really think there's going to be much of a difference between the PS5 and Xbox Series X. Like graphically, powerfully, I don't really think there's going to be much of a difference.
I don't think there will be powerful either. But in terms of the hypothetical.
But I agree with you. Like, if they could put that on the box, put it on videos, on podcasts, then it could sell it, especially if both systems sell for the same price. If they're both the same entry level point, what's going to make them difference? So for some people, it may be power. So I see where you're coming from. I still don't really fully buy into it just because of the fact that I really believe both systems are going to be the same in the end. But I see what you're saying. It could definitely give them a leg up, you know.
Just to be clear, not the extra teraflop is
No,
like
no,
higher.
no. We're talking about just in general. We're talking about in general here. Because teraflops, who gives a fuck? You know? Would you get all these bomb-ass games, like Horizon Zero Dawn running on, what, like 1 teraflop or something? You know? Come on, man. All right. Yo, Sketch, you're crazy, bro. All right. I think we're right here for the last question of the night.
Can I ask a question too?
Sure. Hey, the fans love the longer episodes, so why not, man?
Okay, to the people of the panel, if I know most of you are Sony fans, with the exclusion of Adam, so I will ask it this way: if the system, other than your current preferred system, came out with an obvious advantage, would you switch brands?
You've asked this before, Brett, by the way.
Have I?
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
My answer, you already know my...
Please
yeah,
refer to Throwdown Your Questions episode 125.
we can answer real quick, though. No. No. But here's the thing. I don't have a brand anymore. Like I said, I am done with those days where I'm like, I wish I had that system. No, I got all the systems now. I'm straight. You know, so I'm not missing out on nothing. As for Xbox, but Brett, for Xbox, I'm not going to get the Xbox Series X. I'm just going to upgrade my graphics card. I'm not being an asshole. I'm being honest. I actually do need to upgrade my graphics card, so it'll be perfect.
You need to jump on that ray tracing shit, son.
But I am waiting, though. I'm not going to get it right away. I'm going to wait a little bit, you know?
No, because because it makes sense because you're just about the games as opposed to others about the ecosystem.
Yeah, I don't care about that.
That's what I'm excited for. I want to see how they evolve the ecosystem because that's what made the 360 beautiful.
By the way, I'm glad you said that because my ecosystem is obviously the PlayStation. That's where I'm more comfortable.
Yeah.
Xbox ecosystem, it's cool, but it's not really my thing. And I'm a visitor. I'm a visitor to the Xbox ecosystem, so I don't mind playing their games on PC like 2 or 3 times a year. So that's where I'm going to dabble at it, you know. But PlayStation, that's where I got my trophies. That's where my friends are. Like I'm never going to leave that ecosystem unless they. Actually, I've been thinking. I was going to say unless I really fuck up. This is Sony. Sony has not let me down at all for like all this time. You know, even the PlayStation 1 that I hated on because of principle, even that was a fucking amazing system. Sony is the shit. You know, so I don't really see myself leaving them anytime soon.
Old Tony is rolling in his grave.
Yeah, well, hey, listen, I'm actually old Tony, and he's wise, sir.
You know? Young Tony is rolling in his grave.
The ignorance of youth, but yeah,
he'd be like, you motherfucking traitor.
But by the way, that is my answer. It's like, yo, listen, whatever Nintendo comes out with, I'll buy because I don't want to be left out of the conversation anymore. Fuck that shit. I'm done with that. You know.
Yo, Adam, I have a question.
Yeah.
Okay. Why is it?
Why is it that so for example
wait, are you subverting Brett's question?
No,
because we've answered Brett's question before.
Is this a mic drop?
I mean, it depends.
I didn't get to answer Brett's question.
Well, Manny, you said it. You answered it before. You said you wouldn't unless the other system shows you something. We've all answered this before.
I mean, I would like it. Yeah, like it doesn't like if it came out with an advantage, right? If it doesn't have any of the games that I'm looking for that appeal to me, then I'm not buying it. It's never been about the console. I just so happen to own a PlayStation console, but I'm not going to blindly follow PlayStation to the until it jumps off the edge of the earth. You know.
All right. Anyway, go ahead.
That makes sense. I want to hear Carlos answer.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, even though we didn't answer before, I do want everybody to answer it. Just real briefly, Carlos, what's your answer?
You, Adam, I have a question.
Damn, it's like
he's been trying to ask it, and everybody keeps cutting him off. So,
and it's a simple one: can you chat with people on Xbox using the Xbox app on PC on the voice chat?
Isn't it just Skype?
No. You can chat. You can't chat. I don't know if it's part of if you need gold to do it. I think you still need to have the gold service to do it, but it can be done.
Well, I thought it was just Skype.
It's not to Skype. You could Skype, but within its own app. When you open up, if you have Windows 10 and you get the Xbox app, you'll see the whole interface and the menu system, and you'll see your buddies, and you can click on them, and you can talk to them and do that whole thing. But I'm pretty sure you need to be a gold member to have that functionality. It's not just open to everybody.
Yeah, because like a lot of the stuff with the ecosystem, it's like a lot of it's on PC now. Like the voice chat, the Chivos, like Game Pass, all of it's there. The xCloud's going to be there eventually. So for me, it's hard to say like what, because there's only for me right now it's like two people in town. By the way, Brett, can you re-ask the question just to make sure I'm going to answer it correctly?
Yeah, if there were obvious.
Oh shit, you cut off.
Cut out, bro.
If there were an obvious advantage to your.
God damn, you cut off a good.
The punchline.
Yo, Tony.
Right here.
Yeah, the question is basically if the. Okay, let's just say for the sake of argument, you're a PlayStation guy, right? What could Microsoft do or any other console do to make you switch sides? You know, if there was an obvious like power difference, would that make you switch over?
Nah, I mean, because I'm gonna get
You're gonna get them all anyway, you know.
Well, nah, I don't think I'm gonna get a series.
Excuse me.
Yeah, I can do all of it on my PC now. The only reason why I'm getting a PlayStation is because of the PlayStation, the first party games, and whatever exclusives they have, which I doubt it's going to be many, like third party at least. So that's the only reason why I'm doing that, and because Manny and Tony and Chris and all of them play on PlayStation. Yeah, so I like the Xbox experience is always going to be there on my PC, and all I have to do is upgrade my graphics card. I'm like, my PC right now is pretty much up to pace with whatever the specs of the Series X is going to be. So if I want to have a more superior console, like PC will always be a step ahead of consoles. So I can always upgrade whatever bottleneck I have when it comes to the comparisons. I'll answer Brett's question in a different manner. Let's say there is a far superior console that happens to be also portable, then I might switch.
Excuse me?
Well, no pun intended.
Yeah.
I don't understand this whole thing of switching. It's like, just build up everything. Just do it on everything. Like, so for me, it's always been, if there's a track to build up a catalog, then that's where I go. Like when I jumped into the PlayStation, everybody had all these trophies and stuff. What did I do? I just went all in, built that up. Then when I hit that plateau, I'm like, all right, we got to find something else. And then poof, now here it is. I'm doing the retro achievements, getting all my Genesis and Super NES and NES that I just see myself playing that for freaking who knows how many years. I got to replay everything now. But I'm building my legacy because then that's catalogs for life. So I could say that I played these games and beat it, but it's another thing to show it. And yeah, we have the PlayStation do it, we have the Xbox. Now we have an old school method of doing it. And that's all that matters to me. I don't care what platform or ecosystem. That's where I go.
All right. Yeah, Chris.
I'm a little lost. We went on a tangent here.
Yeah, we did. Basically, if, for example, you were a PlayStation guy, for example, right? Yeah. Would you switch over to Xbox if it proved to be a clearly superior system? Would you leave that, in
performance?
In performance, yeah. By the way, this is a weird question for Chris. Chris, just like me and Adam and most of the guys here, we own everything,
Yeah, we have everything.
Were you big on 360? I could swear you said you did.
Yes, I played a ton on 360.
I was thinking.
By the way, I just realized something. Yeah, by the way, I just realized something. Manny's the only one here. And Manny, this is not a diss, it's just a fact. You're the only one here who doesn't have everything. Everybody else here on the panel, we have every system.
Yep, everybody else.
Brian doesn't have an Xbox, but he could still play Xbox,
I mean, I could play Xbox if I want.
Yes, you can.
But I don't.
The only one you're missing is Switch. That's the only system you're missing then.
Yeah, I mean, because if we consider my PC and Xbox, yes, I can play Xbox games on there.
Yeah, Brett, I just came to a realization. Your question, even though it's a good question, it's kind of moot for this panel because we have everything. I just realized
I'm the only one that really only has one console.
So the question is really for Manny then.
Well, I was thinking more along the lines of like, if you didn't already own a baller gamer PC and you didn't have the budget to buy all these, if you put yourself in a normal consumer shoes,
okay,
where you had to choose a console
Oh,
And you
PlayStation,
can-
no question.
That would be, but I
PlayStation,
mean,
no question.
Granted, again, that is me.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, but Brett,
No, because you can use your PC to play Xbox games.
Yeah.
I can play, but I don't. I can't play them like I don't have a baller PC. I can tell you that.
Oh, fair.
Yeah, no, but Brett, in your hypothetical, not even a question. PlayStation 5 all day. You know, that's my
Even,
answer.
even if Xbox were better.
I don't give a fuck because PlayStation's gonna
So-
have the better games. That's
So,
why.
Tony.
Yeah.
Wait, here's my question because I remember you said the sad story of you and Sega, and you were
Yeah.
devastated when they.
I was, man. I was.
If Sony some fucked up shit financially, they said shit, everything hit the fan. We're going straight back into TVs and phones and stuff, and they stopped making. Would you just go all in on Nintendo or would
Xbox.
You would go all in on
Of
Xbox.
course, yeah, because Xbox is the most comparable.
But I mean, you could leave it all. You have a PC. You could just say, I'm just going PC gaming.
Well, I mean, you're right. I could do that, but I could still play Xbox.
But you just said you're not going to get that, so there's no need for it. So you should just
but
you
I
should
said
never want to go to Xbox.
No, you're not understanding what I'm saying. I have access to Xbox anyway. So
That's what I'm saying.
So your question it doesn't really apply to me then. That one like
No, it only applies because you had that one situation where you were all Sega and Sega went out of business.
I think you're getting a little ahead here. Yeah, if Sony hypothetically went away, yeah, you know what? I would just become a PC gamer because I would still
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, because I would still have access to Xbox games, you know. Yeah, I become a PC gamer.
I'm gonna have to teach a lot of you guys how to drop mics, man.
Wait, who's dropping mics?
No one except me.
Wait,
what mics are you dropping?
Adam, did I drop a mic? Because you didn't drop a mic.
I don't know what he's
we were just having a conversation.
Brett was trying to drop a mic. He couldn't do it. He's trying to.
But I wasn't trying to drop anything, man.
I wasn't trying to drop a mic. I asked you if this was a mic drop moment.
Yeah, me and Adam were. As a matter of fact, Adam and I were talking in the back of our heads. We were both thinking about how we're going to finish that fucking Division DLC, just like Chris was.
Yeah, that's just fucking.
Yo, by the way,
I have a question.
By the way, complete tangent right now. For the first time in a long time, at least for me, I rage quit a fucking game. Me, Adam, and Chris, we rage quit the fucking Division last
No,
night.
you were the most like. Here's the thing. Adam was angry through the whole thing.
Adam was ragey, boy.
Because there was fucking gear, and then that's why I went looking. I'm like, I can't believe it's this bad. There's got to be something. And sure enough, it was those.
Yeah,
Adam was the most was raged throughout the whole thing, but it took one factor to get Tony to just like literally say, "I'm out," and then click done. Like he closed up before anybody else in the room did.
I was fucking done. You know what the real factor was? Because I was like, okay, you know what? It's 2:00. I'm fucking done with this shit. I look at my clock. It's 3. I'm like, fucking daylight savings times, and I got really mad. Because Manny, my anger was building up. Understand? And then it reached that point. Because I'm like, yo, we spent 2 hours on that fucking bullshit. What the hell were we even talking about, man?
I'm so mad.
Yeah, Adam. Yeah, PC gaming, man. That's what I would do. I
got all this protective against flames and stuff on my guys. So I'm ready.
Fucking bullshit.
Ready.
Brian would be happy with me, man. By the way, PC gaming is fucking dope. It's just I prefer PlayStation. That's all I gotta say about that.
Shout out to Brian, man.
Yeah, of course, man.
I'm still here. You know that, right?
Yeah, he ain't dead. By the way, people, we still have one more question. Yo,
Okay,
We're gonna set the world on fire.
Okay, in case you did want my answer is I didn't jump on PC because it had more horsepower. I jumped on because it had more games I wanted to play.
Damn it!
That's
I thought you were
a
gonna
mic
say.
drop.
I thought you were gonna say something else. I was like, and this would have been a true mic drop. I would have been proud. I thought you were gonna say I didn't jump on PC.
What do you consider a mic drop, Carlos?
I'm about to do it.
I think Carlos thinks a mic drop is when he says it's going to be a mic drop.
All right. Well, so I thought Brian was gonna be like, I don't play on PC because of the horsepower. I play on PC because it's better. I was expecting that for Brian, and I didn't get it, man. I'm disappointed. You were overhyped, man.
Yeah, basically, yeah. So basically, mostly it's just it has more games I want to play, and at the time it had Warframe. So, yeah.
There you go, man. All right.
He was expecting the Oasis answer from you, Brian. Sure, we sound like the Beatles, only better.
Only better. Brian is still mad about those fucking farmers.
I'm pissed now. An hour of the conversation and the pre-show as well.
Yo, Goose, you're crazy, bro. All right, man. Let's get to the last question. We may be here for another half an hour. Oh God. Where the fuck are we? Oh, Tennessee Sooner. if y'all, he's Tennessee, so he could say y'all. You know, well, he says he's from Tennessee. I have to believe him, man. Trust, man. You have to trust, man.
Trusting.
You know, yeah. Imagine this motherfucker's from like Yonkers or something.
But I mean, but to be fair, how many people like hype up that they're from Tennessee?
You know what I'm saying? Like, if I was from Tennessee, I wouldn't talk about that. I'm just saying. I just dissed the fucking.
Man, you just low key dissed that dude, man.
Hey, listen.
Watching this show ever again.
Flyover states, man. Anyway, I'm a fucking asshole. If y'all were designing the next gen consoles, what would you do differently than what we've seen in the past? That is a great fucking question, man.
I got an easy one.
Yeah,
they would announce it.
Go ahead, Adam.
Have a little attachment inside, and you press a button, and then this little thing pops out, and it's like, "What's this?" It looks like a Vita or some shit. What is this? And I was like, "Now you can take it on the go. It comes with a little Porta Buddy, and you take your Porta Buddy out, and then that way you can play all your games on the go, and it'll just remote stream to your device." So.
All right. Anybody have a serious answer?
That's it. That's awesome. I mean, right now we're sort of getting it once the xCloud comes in, because then everyone's phone becomes that. But why not a console that actually has that part of it?
The Porta Buddy, I like that. You should totally, register that name. Keep the copyright.
Yeah, the Porta Buddy
and the trademark.
Right, Brett, get in here and save this answer, man. This question. How would you make next-gen systems truly innovative?
Damn, how could you not like my answer? My answer's my answer. You're like, there's got to be something serious.
Adam, that's not gonna. Because don't get me wrong, it's cool.
That isn't serious.
That's not gonna happen, man.
Anything's possible. We had the close.
He said he didn't say how would he said how would you improve the console? I mean that's I mean
okay
for Adam.
Okay, I mean fair enough, but I'm like I kind of wanted a more like realistic answer. That's like me going, you could make my console better because by having it like make me sandwiches like.
What? Are you kidding me? What is the Switch? The Switch is doing all in one. But what if you had something that was a base and super powerful and was like, yeah, that's great. Oh, and we have this attachment and you press a button.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking,
and then
my
you
bad,
take
Adam.
it.
Yeah. I was thinking about something else completely. Like it just had a Vita inside of it. I was like, what? That's crazy.
No, it's just...
Yeah, I got you. Like basically you have your base and then you take it out. So you basically use it on another Switch.
Something like that, but it actually looks better. That actually lives up to modern day consoles as opposed to the Switch is all old school shit. It's not pulling 4K or anything.
My bad, Adam. I mistook your answer, man. That is a good one. All right, Brett, get in here, man.
I honestly don't know. Nintendo has already done the whole casual portability thing. So that's off the table, and that was the thing that specifically caters to casual gamers. So I'd say you'd probably need something gamers. Sound like a broken record, I'd probably say like truly working VR. And I'm not sure that that's truly, and no, that would still be innovative. Like not VR in the holodeck sense, but VR in the what Tony wants sense, in the no need to wave your arms around, a controller that has thought built into VR, so like it has raised or lowered buttons or some way to tell what's what, or a touchscreen or something. Maybe gyroscopes. I'm not really sure that answer yet, but the really important thing would be a screen with good resolution, high performance, and no wires without being bulky or heavy. Like if you just had a truly light set of, I know this would be impossible, just like sunglasses, just big sunglass things you just put on like that, and they had headphones that go over them, so you just kind of slipped them on like that, and then boom, you were in virtual reality playing, and you controlled everything the way you normally would with a controller, but you're now able to like look around as you're playing Doom, you're doing this, but you're able to do this at the same time. I think that's what it would be, because I take innovation a little bit different than most people. I think one of the biggest innovations we had prior to, say, the Switch was true dual stick gaming, which came out with the OG Xbox. Like when Halo came out, I don't know if people remember, when Halo came out, the way that you moved with two sticks was just like fucking mind-blowing, especially coming from like GoldenEye and shit like that.
Like I can strafe, I can move around, I can now move and look at the same time, and that gave you a command of a completely different axis of motion. And that's one thing that I have noticed playing VR games that I think will really catch on is, oh yeah, I can point my cursor forward and be shooting this guy, and look to my left to make sure there's nobody coming down the hallway while just continuing to unload a railgun this way, and then I can look back. The benefits are even more obvious in racing games, where you can like check your endpoint and then just kind of like steer into your tight curve while maintaining visual contact with your endpoint. It makes it a much less jarring experience. In fact, it makes really intense racing games seem almost kind of tame, because you're not feeling the G-force, and it just kind of feels like you're out for a drive. I mean, it's still amazingly fun, but I think if you truly nailed that, that would become the next big innovation. And I've preached this before, but I think it's one of those things like, look, there are several things that people have always wanted and never gotten. Hoverboards, jetpacks, and VR visors.
Okay.
We can have one of these things for real. The other two are kind of physical impossibilities, as is the holodeck.
You could have a hoverboard as long as you have some like kind of magnetic shit on the ground. You know what I'm saying? If the roads were kind of magnetized, there's a name for it.
That's not but that's not realistic.
Yes,
like you can't magnetize. You can't magnetize all the roads so that people can have. I mean, I guess
it'll cost a shit ton of money. Okay, here's the thing: it's not feasible, but it's realistic. Flying, yeah, you know what I'm saying?
It's possible. It's not feasible.
Yeah,
real
VR.
VR.
Realistic. That shit is not realistic. Even though I love, that shit is not realistic. But you can have hover shit. Anyway, go on.
But real VR is the most feasible of those things.
Yes.
And I know Tony's a pretty staunch, doesn't really give a shit guy, but I think a lot of people would change their mind the first time they just put on a set of easy to use, not heavy. Like it's a cumbersome, pain in the ass experience right now. There are wires everywhere. You either have to set it up and leave it set up, or set it up custom. You have restrictions on you have to be exactly this far out, exactly this far in. Everything has to be set up perfectly. When they make it user-friendly and easy, I think that'll be a huge innovation to gaming in general, and probably change a lot of the way we play games.
Yeah. By the way, Brett, because I'm currently reading Michio Kaku's Physics of the Future, and he's talking about how in the future he expects superconductors to be on every road and shit, so flying cars effectively. Granted, it'll be like maybe just a foot off the ground or something, but just being nerdy. Yeah, being nerdy, but that's
flying cars might be coming. Awesome in the future.
Yeah. As far as VR, if you could get to a point where I'm essentially just putting on a pair of sunglasses to play VR with a controller, I'm fucking there. And I think that's realistic, Just put the shit on your face and you're good to go. No wires, no heavy, bulky shit, That would be fantastic. And I think that could come in. And the fact that VR is still doing pretty good, Brett, I said it, VR is doing good.
So if you get that, put contacts. Have contacts with wireless Wi-Fi on it and Bluetooth, and you just like...
Yeah, that would be crazy. That's probably going to come too. Some like chip in your head or something, and you just experience the world like that.
I don't have anything put in my brain, but I'll put contacts in my eyes or glasses on.
Yeah.
Shit.
Anyway, I'm just going to jump into...
But one thing I want to point out, like, if they got to the point where it was truly wireless and everything like that, it would also be portable.
Yes. Anywhere. You're on the bus and shit, play your VR, Granted, you'll probably get mugged and shit, but
No, dude, you can just put it on like 50% transparency, so you can see the shit that's going on behind you.
Is that bum actually in game, or is he coming after me?
Yeah.
You got to be careful in the streets, man.
No, there's a warning light. Like if somebody comes in your proximity with a knife, like a green and red dotted outline of them starts blinking.
Oh man.
Like, this is not a game enemy.
Yeah, all right. Does anybody else have any ideas about how to make next generation truly innovative? Next gen systems.
Yeah, make a more modular system. If you want a Blu-ray drive, just have a piece in there that you could stick in. And also, anytime they revise ports, like how many times has USB changed or HDMI updated? Imagine you could pull their back ports off and just buy an update and put it in. And it's completely compatible with all the new formats. you want to expand and add ports in the front, they could add a PC remove, and then it's like, oh, okay, I got more USB ports now in the front, or you have USB-C in the front, and then add a part of the system where you could just put the controller on and have inductive charging.
Oh,
I think that would help a lot. Like, no more less wires, the better.
Yeah, for sure. All right, who else wants to go? By the way, for me, if I could think of something that cool, I'd be rich. I have no imagination years, like because we haven't really seen innovation, at least in my opinion, from consoles for a while, man. It's been a long fucking time.
I feel like
You didn't like the Labo?
What happened?
You didn't like the Labo?
The fucking cardboard, man. Get out of here with that shit.
I feel like a lot of the innovation is really just like, but then again, maybe the reason why things don't seem as innovative is because we kind of know more than we used to know, right? Back in the days when we were, hearing about the new consoles, we just sort of trusted them to tell us what they were innovating on. Which now we can literally just look at what's going on in the PC market and know it's going to be reflected in the console realm.
That's a good point. Yeah, but the thing is, back in the day, things actually were innovative.
They were, but I also think we also knew less.
No, we did, but it was still kind of both. Like, when you went from like cartridges to CDs, that was pretty innovative. That was pretty big.
But
then going to DVDs
but you look at
shit.
CDs were almost a 10-year-old technology by the time they started putting putting actual games.
Oh yeah, for sure. But it wasn't like mass market technology until like the early '90s. Even though yes, the CDs did come out in the mid '80s. You're right about that. But even for CDs, like music CDs, they really blew up in like the late '80s, early '90s, and then games really shortly after that adopted CD format and DVD format. They right from the beginning, games were there. But yeah, these days I don't really see innovation, and I can't. It's hard for me to think of what innovations we're going to see in the future. It's like, what are you going to get? Just more of the same shit. A bigger hard drive, a faster hard drive. Less loads, less input lag. It's like, yeah, these things will make things nicer, but I wouldn't call those innovative. Even the Switch, I'm sorry, I don't even consider that innovative because you could kind of do something like that already with your PSP. Granted, the Switch does it fucking flawlessly and amazing, but I don't consider that innovative either.
What would you consider like an innovation from the past?
Yeah, like I said, CDs, going from like, or NES, Super NES, that was innovative because you got more graphical horsepower and all that shit. Because even graphics now have kind of stalled, in my opinion. DVD, CD audio was a huge innovation back in the day. That was huge. And even recently, I would say HD was probably the last innovation that I saw, going from PS2 era to PS3 with HD graphics and stuff.
What about the SSD stuff that Sony's
You know what? That's a good one.
Presenting, or even the ray tracing tech that's inside of a lot of the new graphics cards that are
here's the problem with ray tracing. Like, PCs have already done it. It goes back to what you were saying. Like whatever quote unquote innovations that we're going to see in consoles, PC has already done. So it's a really innovative. That's where I'm coming at it from. It's like innovative to me, you have to do something new that hasn't been done. If they're just copying PCs, you're not really being innovative anymore. I just expect whatever we have now just better and faster, which is great. Don't get me wrong, but I wouldn't call that innovative. But I naturally do have a history of being kind of a stickler for this stuff. So maybe I'm the wrong person to ask. Who knows? But I don't really see anything in the way of innovation. Just like at the top of the show, we were asked, what do you guys expect realistically to come from next gen? I said more of the same. I don't really see anything different coming, at least for the first 3 years, man. Maybe I'm being a pessimist, but I don't really see any mind-blowing shit. And I'm basing it off of last gen. Last gen, we didn't get any innovation. Games look, like I'm going to quote Brett, games look shinier. That's all we got, So I don't really have much hope here. Anybody else? Brian, you expect any innovations for consoles next generation?
Not really. I mean, as you guys have said, they haven't really innovated much at all. It's just been, hey, more power, more this, more that. It's like to me, the last real thing that was what was innovative was the idea of, I think with PlayStation games, with Far Cry 4, you could own that one person could own the game, and yet two people could play it at the same time. That was the last thing. Apart from that, everything else was just like, hey, it's done on PC, let's do it here. I mean, live streaming, video recording, sharing, that stuff. It's all was there on PC way before, so hence no, I don't expect it. I guess that the next big thing that they're going to talk about is the idea that you can gift games now on PlayStation. Like, I have a funny feeling that would be like the next thing. Like, hey, you can buy a game and gift it to your friend or something. Nothing exciting.
Yeah, I don't really see it.
One thing that I do want for next gen is having more than one colored console on day one. Like, give me a white console on day one, please. I'm getting sick and tired of waiting for this.
Hey, Brian, I got one for you, man. Go to Japan. They do that shit over there, you know?
Yeah, but they have the coronaviruses like around there, so I'm not going to.
Man.
Brian,
I said around there, not there.
Yeah,
there,
not
but
there. Yeah, around
there.
that area, you know?
I'm still right.
Brian,
What's up?
you can ask the person that's gonna be there around the time the console's gonna release.
Carlos, man, you're playing with your life right now, bro. That's all I'm saying.
If it is Carlos, let me know, and I'll PayPal you like the money, and then when you come through, just drop it off at my house.
Make sure to spray it.
Yeah, spray it.
it.
Yeah, Brian's gonna open the box. He's
spray
gonna...
I thought that you were gonna be like there, Carlos, and then like you buy it. I'm like, okay, cool. Like you buy it, like I'll PayPal you like the cash. You come over, like you drop it off, say bye bye. I buy you Breath of the Wild on Wii U, and then see you.
Oh shit!
No.
Yo,
That's what friends are for.
All right, man. I'm just trying to do you a favor. And you decide to drop mics on me. All right.
The good times, the bad times.
all right, man.
Yeah, I don't think.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
It's hard. It's hard to like come up with things to innovate the new consoles because it's like they really stayed kind of consistent for over the past couple of generations. That it's like, you know, things to add to the console are not that significant that we can think of. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
No, I agree with you. To use a art term Manny taught me, they found their solution, you know, so they're sticking with it.
Yep.
This is how it is.
If art had a math problem, if it was a math problem, they found their solution.
This is how it is, man. So anyway, we're going to wrap it up with a couple things here. Before we do wrap up, we were supposed to do this on Friday, so we're going to do it tomorrow. Just Manny, we got to be on it. We're going to have a giveaway for episode 275 of Throwdown, which is on Thursday. That's an anniversary episode, kind of. Pretty much, you know, every 25 episode we do something. So I got a couple of keyboards here that I'm going to start giving away. I'll probably just give one each to you. And Manny's going to toss in some goodies, too. So we'll do a video. You can check out the contest. And also, for the next Throwdown Your Questions, which is also episode 275. That's going to be the AMA special, which is Carlos's favorite. So the rules for that are a little bit different, or actually a lot different, depending on, you know, how you take things. So basically, for that show, we need you to ask us whatever you want, right? Like, obviously, if you want to ask us about video games, you can, but we kind of encourage you not to ask us video game questions, just to make it a little different. So you can ask us whatever the hell you want. You know, it could be about movies, music, you know, life, whatever. Anything goes, pretty much. Within reason, obviously. Don't ask us anything too fucking crazy. We're not going to answer it. And we're going to limit you to 3 questions for that one. So expect the extra long helping of Throwdown Your Questions. That episode is going to be nuts. So again, we're going to have an AMA special for next episode, which is next Sunday. 3 questions, and ask us whatever the hell you want. So it should be interesting. And you could, as always, leave those questions over on the Discord server, which is linked down below. Even on Twitch, if you're watching us on Twitch, if you open up, you know, the whole thing, the link to that shit is there. So check it out. We always have new people jumping into our Discord, and Discord's always fun. A lot of good conversations going on. Black Metal and fucking Goose, man. You guys are crazy, man. It's like the shit you guys talk about in there, man. It's fun. So definitely join in on that. So yeah, with that, we will see you people. Thank you. By the way, shout out to the guys who have been here for almost 3 hours, man. You guys are awesome. Just want to say that.
Yo, man, shout out.
I got the coronavirus, by the way, so I'm coughing. All right, so
damn. So if you, let's say if that happens, yeah, exactly. But if it did happen and you dropped off, that means it would be Manny next, right?
Yeah, Manny's the next guy, man. I'll fight this shit off, man. It ain't killing me. I'm too like hard headed, you know. I'm too stubborn to die, basically. Anyway, so thank you for watching and listening. Leave us a questions in the Throwdown Discord server, and we'll answer them on next week's show. Subscribe to Throwdown on SoundCloud, iTunes, and YouTube. Follow us on Twitch, Twitter, and Facebook at Throwdown Show. Links are located in the description below. Once again, I was Tony Polanco, and tonight is joined by Emilio Lopez.
See you later, guys.
Chris Seeley.
Hey, take care, everyone.
Carlos Romero.
This is
Adam Vale.
Have a good week.
Brett Murdoch.
Subverted, damn you.
And Brian Manjoma.
Will Carlos ever drop a mic?
No.
Find out next week.
On Throwdown.
Oh.
Yo, we'll see you, man.
No doubt about that.
We will see you about. We gotta get Richard back on, man. All right, guys, we'll see you, man. Peace out.
Later, guys.
Peace.
Peace.